Tonight on RaceSpot TV and iRacingLive, we go iRacing Oval World Championship Series racing from the 2-mile D-shaped oval in Brooklyn, Michigan. 12 races down, and now with the one and only drop week factored into the championship standings, we have a new points leader and 4 races to go with the trophy, a NASCAR championship ring, and not to mention over $10,000 in cash hanging in the balance. The 13th round of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, takes to the Michigan International Speedway. It all starts next on RaceSpot TV. Live tonight from Brooklyn, Michigan, the 13th round on the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, brings us to the Michigan International Speedway for the home stretch in this race to the championship. Hello for the Irish Hills of Michigan, and welcome topside to the RaceSpot TV pre-race show. Myself, Evan Pasoko, as always, accompanied by Tim Terry, topside with us, as well with our RaceSpot TV director, Hugo Louise, downstairs, pushing the buttons and bringing us to you tonight across the networks of iRacingLive, as well as our partners at Fans Choice TV and the Motor Racing Network. Tim, this Michigan International Speedway is a racetrack that is very familiar to this championship as we enter this 2016 campaign. In the prior 6 seasons of this championship, we've seen 7 races at this racetrack.
We have, and we've seen 7 different winners. When you look at this past champions list, you got guys like Kenny Humpy, Chad Lawton, Ray Alfalla is on this list, but if you ask Ray Alfalla about this racetrack, it's almost like his Achilles heel. He's done well here in the past, but he's also got a bunch of races where he hasn't done well. Jason Karlavage is on the list, Steve Sheehan, Derek Wood, Richard Towler, names synonymous with sim racing. This evening, we could very well add an 8th name to that list, but we could see a repeat winner like an Alfalla or a Humpy get back into victory lane.
This racetrack very similar when you look at the layout of it at the 2-mile D-shaped oval to a place that we saw a little bit earlier on in this season in Fontana, California at the Auto Club Speedway. We mentioned the name Ray Alfalla. Well, he won in Fontana here for the 4th race on this championship. He's a winner here at Michigan back in 2013. Little differences between the two is we got 4 extra degrees of banking here at Michigan, but many would consider Daytona to be the fastest place that we'll see on this calendar. That's not true. Michigan is the fastest track on this campaign, and you look at it, 208, 209 miles an hour sometimes. The top speed that these guys are hitting is right now you're taking a live look in at qualifying.
And keep in mind, as we look at maybe a championship chase or a points battle, there's no more drop weeks. We've ran the first 12 races of this season, and there's a drop included in that. Now there's no drop weeks in the final 4 races of this season. We head to Darlington in 2 weeks, then New Hampshire, and then, of course, the Homestead Miami Speedway to close off the season. Yes, we have a close championship battle up in front. Yes, we have battles within the top 10, but it's also trying to lock yourself into this series for next year. It just got real. 4 races to go. There's no more drop weeks. There's a lot on the line, and you can get a lot of momentum by running well here tonight at Michigan.
We'll take a look at what the championship picture is into tonight and more. First, though, we take a step back and look at last week's iRacing Race Recap. Back a look at round number 12 from Watkins Glen. And if you missed this one, you want to take a look. Field in the hands of pole sitter to Gottinger. He looks to go back-to-back. Green flag in the air and underway from Watkins Glen. Already a challenge for that number 2 spot. 44 looked at the bottom, didn't do it. Side by side with Sturgis and Ottinger down to turn number 1. 57 on the top side tries to get clear, and he will get that position. Top 3 single file up to the Essence. Nick Ottinger, your pole sitter, falls to number 2 as BJ Sturgis tries to run away side by side for second. Talking about maybe one of the better braking zones on the racetrack. Conchi to the inside, side by side for second, and he'll take that spot away from the 05. The 5 Chevrolet, though, really closing the gap the last 2 times around to make that a fight for P1.
Sturgio's very defensive, and Conti's going to try to go on the outside. It's Chevrolet versus the Ford going in through the bus stop here. PJ Sturgios is going to get the proper line, and Michael Conti has to back well off Evan. PJ Sturgios is leaning to the inside of pit road, and Evan Heat will come down into the pits. Michael Conti now, well, he's going to shoot that one. He's going to go into the pit lane right now and get some tires and fuel.
Ottinger will continue to lead this thing. He'll complete the 23rd lap this time by.
Again, the battle for the top spot is on note for the time being. BJ Sturgis, again, going to be out short-pitted by his brother, and that leaves him to the wolves because the 5 of Conti to the back bumper, a bump and run that time through the carousel. They'll head out of turn number 5 down to turn 6. You see the fresher tire, just so much more bite off the corner, and the 57 tried to protect. They'll eventually have to give up the inside positioning, and even with the 57, with a whole pit stop still to come, and for what we expect, the 5 machine would like to stay out to the end of this one if he can. The 5 of Michael Conti executes a pass on the 57, and PJ Sturgis going to come down pit road this time by.
Michael Conti might have an issue of some sort. He's been hustling that car around, and he's only going to get looser and looser as this time goes on. Those tires are going to be 25 laps old. That is going to be just about end of life for those Goodyear Eagles, and I think we're going to see an extremely loose number 5 car, Michael Conti, towards the end of this race.
24 gives the bumper to the 90 through the carousel. 24 to the inside. Here comes Michael J. Johnson trying to pass 2 for 1 through the corner. The 29 and Kevin King is here in this little battle. It's around position number 15. And it's about to intensify. Busa got past this little fracas. The 90 continues to fall backwards. 39 slideways through the corner. Michael J. Johnson had a run, but now he's going to fall back into the clutches of Kevin King. King looking for a way around the 39 car. Not going to do it through corner number 7. They'll drive it down the front straightaway, but these guys are, it's strategy up front, Evan, but these guys back here around 15 putting on a show.
Right now, PJ and Jake Sturgios, well, there's just not much time left in this race here for them to make up the time. A 1:14.4, Evan, versus the 1:16.3 that Michael Conti just ran. The time is not going to be there to make a 15-second gap disappear.
Michael Conti really starting to stretch the tires now. The next time by with 42 laps complete, he would have gone the same distance that he did on the tires the first time, which was 21 laps, and he is right at that 1:16 mark. He was 1:16.3 the last time around. The slowest lap we've seen out of the 5 was a 1:16.5 earlier on. Great battle going on right now for that number 5 position. Jake Sturgis closed it in on the back of Logan Clampett. It's 9.3 seconds off of the top spot. The longer it takes BJ Sturgis to catch up to Jake Sturgis, obviously the 41 machine slower running behind the 44. It could bring that 57 back into this conversation. 41 aggressive on the inside of the 44. That just as he himself was battling with that 21 of Alan Bowes. They'll go side by side to turn number 6, and more beating and banging through the left-hander. Both cars out of shape. Clampett hangs on to the top side of the racetrack, picks up the position. The number 57 behind PJ Sturgis does indeed, though, collect a spot from brother in the 41, Jake Sturgis. 41 couldn't execute the move quick enough. It allowed the 57 to close in, and now as he goes to the inside on Clampett, 44 left the space. They'll go side by side up to the S's at lap number 46. Just like that, PJ Sturgis back up to 4th, and behind him, Jake Sturgis takes P5. It's 3 laps to go the next time by, and Nick Ottinger can see the 5 of Michael Conti.
Question is, though, Conti has to be smooth in these last few laps to lock down this win. Nick Ottinger's hungry for a win as well as they continue to work for their first win of the season. The question is, though, if Ottinger does catch Conti, and it looks like that he will get there, how wide does Michael Conti make the back bumper?
A little bit better exit for the Toyota Camry of Nick Ottinger, as he might almost have the opportunity to go too wide up the S's. He doesn't take the bait, though. I don't think their tires are good enough, Evan, to work their way up side by side through the S's. That would be very dangerous indeed as they work their way down the backstretch towards the inner loop.
He gives them the bumper, looks to the inside, to the outer loop. The white flag will be collected this next time by. 2 taps to the back end, not enough for Ottinger, still behind in second.
The 05 takes a peek to the inside, gets on the binders a little bit early. They'll see the white flag this time by. Conti will see it first. Ottinger, little wiggle out of the final corner there. He's going to lose a little bit of ground to Michael Conti, but Evan, the last time through the inner loop, that 05 was on it, was on the carousel. If a pass is going to happen, watch for it in the middle of this lap.
PJ Sturgis closes in from that number 3 position, and if the 05 and the 5 are too busy battling amongst themselves, he himself may just slot in and try to steal this one. Final time up to the S's. The 05 of Ottinger sideways coming off the corner, and he gives up too much time to the inside, the 57. PJ Sturgis makes the move. He'll take over second, third to last corner. Long right-hander coming out through the outer loop to the outside of the racetrack. The 5 going to protect the bottom. They'll go side by side to the penultimate turn. Lap number 50, Michael Conti from 4th, PJ Sturgis from 2nd. This battle going to come down to the final turn. He'll look to the bumper. Michael Conti goes for the defensive line. He'll take a shot. The 57 will send Michael Conti off. Conti put into the tires, and PJ Sturgis bump and run at a turn 7. He'll take the checkered flag and win from Watkins Glen. And back live from Michigan International Speedway. So that's a look back at Watkins Glen. Safe to say, one of the more excited races that we've seen this season. This season has brought us a lot of close finishes and a lot of finishes that were developed very much like that one based on strategy. Tonight could lend an opportunity to see something very similar. Contact in the final corner was a big topic of conversation, Cam, after that one. We look tonight towards the Michigan International Speedway race. I don't think we're going to see that. As we noted just before we took a look back, 208, 209 miles an hour sometimes into the quarters. There's a lot of space on the racetrack. There is obviously preferred real estate, but there should be enough room for these guys to keep it off of each other more times than not, but also it does give them the opportunity to get 3, 4, 5 lanes wide if they really want to on the restarts, and that could be a very crucial thing to watch tonight as well.
Well, it absolutely could, and Watkins Glen was, well, we did see a bump and run. I don't think Michigan's going to be able to do a bump and run. If you do that at 200 miles an hour, I think we're going to see an extraordinarily different outcome, but Michigan is always a good time, always fun to watch the races, always quick, and I won't be surprised if we don't see some good strategy and some good long green flag runs today.
This racetrack, as we noted, has been a part of this championship for quite some time, Tim, and I'd say more or less a lot of these guys like this racetrack. You see NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Xfinity Series, Camping World Truck Series action here, as well as ARCA Racing. It's a 2-mile D-shaped oval with 18 degrees of banking. There's a lot of space from the bottom to the top of the racetrack, and again, I doubt we'll see somebody ride the white line into one and out of two, and somebody ride the fence into one and out of two. So while there is a lot of space to work with, though, there's most definitely a preferred groove, but I think this racetrack, not being a cookie-cutter track, if you will, does lend a little bit more to the driver to allow their driving style to shine through.
Think back to the last oval race that we had at Indianapolis about a month ago when Dylan Duval went to victory lane. Duval had a different pit strategy. Some cautions at the end of that race. He ends up going to victory lane at the end of it. We could very well see that again here this evening, where we have maybe a driver that excels throughout the race and maybe necessarily does not win the race if we do have some cautions at the end. It's all about how strategy plays this race out, and we'll see what rhythm happens and what rhythm goes through here as we run through 125 laps at Michigan. But as to Cam's point, we might not see a bump and run, but we still might see some excitement by the time we hit the checker flag.
You take a look at some of the results from qualifying. We'll take a full look top to bottom when these drivers go trackside and get set to go green flag racing. Right now, they're going to get set to go out onto the racetrack and get warmed up for this, the 13th round of the championship. Mentioning that we're really starting to get to the home stretch. We have those opening 12 races out, the best 11 results for all the drivers in the championship count, as that one drop week has now been factored in. We'll talk about the championship standings. We'll also take a look at the upcoming races, 3 to go on the calendar after tonight. We'll do all that, though, on the other side. We'll step away, and we'll get set to go racing here tonight from Michigan International Speedway on LSR as well on RaceSpot TV. We go green flag racing when we return to Michigan on the other side as we get set for the 13th round in this 2016 championship.
The 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is all about change. New teams, new drivers, new tracks, even a new logo. And oh yeah, there's a brand new car. After 5 years of competition, we say goodbye to the Williams FW31 and we say hello to the McLaren MP430. But this isn't just a brand new car, it's a whole new ballgame. And with it, we bring new excitement, new strategies, new technology. For example, energy recovery and drag reduction systems. There's a new way of thinking about racing, and for all the drivers participating, it's back to the drawing board, wiping the slate clean in the ever-consuming pursuit of perfection. One little slip-up, one wrong move on track, one poor strategy call, and it's over. That's the difference between coming up short and becoming champion and being $10,000 richer to boot. So yeah, change is in the air, but we're going to start getting answers on the 27th of February as the 7th year of iRacing World Championship competition kicks off. And you won't miss a thing, with every single race live on iRacingLive, coverage brought to you by RaceSpot TV. So join us fortnightly from 1:30 p.m. GMT.
The road to $20,000 runs through the Irish hills of Brooklyn, Michigan for the Michigan International Speedway. This is round number 13 of the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Good evening, sim racing fans. My name is Evan Pasoko with Cam Walsh and Tim Terry topside with you tonight in the RaceSpot TV broadcast booth, along with Hugo Louise downstairs in the director's chair. As always, happy to be with you across iRacingLive, Fans Choice TV, and the Motor Racing Network. MIS is a racetrack that is synonymous with this championship tonight. We go racing here for the 7th year and for the 8th time. Back in 2010, we had 2 races here. Richard Taller, Derek Wood went to victory lane. We've then since seen Steve Sheehan win in 2011, Jason Karlavich in 2012 with Ray Alfalla, 2013, Chad Lawton 2014, and last year Kenny Humpy in 2015. So the odds are 7 for 7 on different winners, but the guys that have shown that they have had success here at Michigan are fast here tonight. So we could see a repeat winner for the first time in this track's history on this championship, Cam, but it is a track that lends us to the ability to see surprise winners. By no means a wild card racetrack, if you will. If you'll compare it to a place like a Darlington Raceway, that will be too in just a couple of weeks' time. But you got 125 laps tonight, 250 miles start to finish. A lot can happen in that time.
Well, absolutely, and I think overall, I mean, the racing that we're going to be getting is going to be a decent product. I am going to wonder what's going to happen when these tires start falling off. We have to remember, we're of course coming here with our new aero package, and well, when this aero package starts really coming into play, it's going to put a lot more wear on those tires. I think we're going to start seeing the old strategy bugs start coming out again when trying to figure out who's going to come in for tires and who's going to go on the long fuel stints. It should definitely be interesting, and also that pit entry is, well, it's certainly not the easiest thing in the world.
We've been teasing it for the last little while, Tim, and finally we'll talk about it. Everybody saw how PJ Sturgis got the job done at Watkins Glen for his 4th win on the season, but everybody may not know what that has done to this championship picture. Again, 12 races now complete, and the one and only drop week has been factored in, so all the drivers have their best 11 results counted towards the current championship standings. Tonight and the next 3 races following tonight are all going to count. There's no more drop weeks to worry about. And PJ Sturgis is now on top of this championship with 471 points. He's up by 3 now to Ray Alfalla in 2nd spot. Big gap till you get back to 3rd in the championship. Jake Sturgis with 404 points. He's 24 points ahead of a dead heat for 4th in the championship. Dylan Duvall, Chris Oberlin tied with each other, but Sturgis and Alfalla, we asked ourselves a couple of weeks ago, a couple of races ago, is this going to be a 2-horse race? And we said, well, there's still half a season to go. Somebody can catch them. They might drop back. Now that we get to these final 4 races, it's starting to look like that this thing could very well come down to the 2 of them. And for the first time in quite some time, Alfalla's not the driver leading the 2.
And PJ Sturgis, Ray Alfalla, as you mentioned, lead this. PJ Sturgis hasn't been in this position before in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Ray Alfalla has been here multiple times. When you look at that 3rd, 4th, and 5th place battle, mathematically, are they out? No, but it's like they're teetering on that cliff trying to hang on to this championship battle. Think back a couple of seasons ago when Tyler Hudson won this championship. He had to make a comeback that most people thought was pretty improbable, and he took the championship at the last race at the Homestead Miami Speedway over Ray Alfalla. Can it be done? Yes. Is it improbable if one of those 3 can come back and top those 2? Yes. PJ Sturgis showed last week that he's a championship contender. Got up on the wheel at Watkins Glen and came away with the victory. We'll see if he can do the same here in these next 4 races and try to trump Ray Alfalla. The Achilles heel might be, though, we talked about Ray Alfalla not liking this racetrack. Qualified on the pole. PJ Sturgis, he's had a couple of races this season, Evan, where he hasn't qualified well. He's going to start 10th here tonight.
Still a good result for him. It's above his season average of a 14th starting position, which puts him in the 3rd worst average start of drivers inside of the top 10. But he does have the 2nd best average finish with a P4. Ray Alfalla has the single best average finish with a 3. They're the only drivers in single digits. The next closest is Jake Sturgis with an average finish of 10th so far through this championship. But to the point that Tim made, Cam, that this is not a position that PJ's been in before is absolutely true. Came into this season with no wins in this championship. He's since got 4. It has him tied now for 5th all time with names like Kevin King, John Gorlinski, Steve Sheehan, Derek Wood, Richard Taller, other drivers drivers who have 4 wins in this championship, and the 4 wins of him is the most out of anybody this season. Second most to Kenny Humpy, who is 6th in the championship. He has 3 trips to victory lane. The guy behind him at the championship who has been here only has 1 win this season, but 3 points behind is Ray Alfala. That 1 win that he got this year marked his 18th on his career. So there is an experience difference inside of this championship alone, but I think to call PJ Sturgis inexperienced for a situation like this would be very unfair. We have seen that the 57 has been able to get it done on multiple disciplines on this sim. The question is, though, can he continue to keep it up for these final 4 races? We know that Ray Alfala can because he has. We have not seen this 57 keep this up starting to finish in a championship yet. He's got 4 to go still.
Yeah, well, 1 of 4 we're going to be going to. It's not like it's an easy coasting to the championship at all, and we've seen race after race after race. It's always been PJ Sturgios and Ray Alfala. I believe, I don't have the statistic on hand, but it's got to at least be more than a handful where Alfala and Sturgios has finished within 1 position of each other. I mean, it seems all season long that they're in constantly here in the interview booth, whether one is winning and one is getting the second or the third placed interview. And I just, if these guys can keep on going, it's going to be mega if we end up getting a Homestead like this. But just 1 DNF, 1 wreck that wasn't your fault, and the entire thing can change if your competitor manages to come away with a win. So should be interesting to see here at Michigan.
If you're picking maybe one of those 2 drivers to win here tonight, maybe you're thinking about somebody who's going to be a repeat winner at Michigan by the end of the night, or if you think we're going to see an 8th different winner here in 8 different starts, we want you to let us know. So tweet to us tonight over the course of the race, and make sure to use the hashtag NPASS as well as the hashtag iRacingWCS. Stay in the conversation, and we'll talk this one out as we go for 250 miles tonight. Tonight, as we get set to go racing for round number 13, we'll be left with just 3 races left to go in this championship when we drop the checkered flag here tonight. Qualifying coming and gone earlier in the evening. Cars are on track, and we go trackside to take a look at tonight's Peak Antifreeze starting grid for round number 13. It's going to be the number 2 Ford of Ray Alfala on pole position again. He'll pick up his 4th on the season with a 37.229. It'll put him on the top spot. He'll be joined on that front row outside in P2, the number 74 of Taylor Hurst. Chris Overland get a start tonight in 3rd position. He hopes to maybe finish ahead of Dylan Duvall tonight to take sole possession 4th in the championship, and while Justin Bolton starts alongside him at 4th, that 42 of Dylan Duvall right on his back bumper, P5.
And Brian Blackford is going to be starting in 6th position, the last runner to qualify within 100th of our pole position time. That is how close these guys are racked up. Kenny Humpy going to be with him on the inside in 7th position. Josh Berry will be starting in 8th, teammate on the outside. And Brad Davies will be starting in 9th. And PJ Sturgios, definitely we want to keep our eyes on. He's starting mid-pack. Going to see how well of a day he can have in that 10th position.
Cars begin to roll. Kevin King and David Rattler will roll off the next row. Great qualifying run for the 09. Corey Vincent and Cody Bias in 14th. Completing your top 15, it's Andrew Fayash III.
Tyler Hudson in the number 01 machine, going to be to the outside of that row in 16th position. 17th tonight for Alan Bose. Ryan Borges at 18th. Logan Clamp at 19th. And Michael Conti outside row number 10, P20.
P21, Nicholas Johnson outside Michael Johnson. Jake Sturgios will be starting in 23rd position. Dylan C. Jones will be starting in 24th. And on the inside is going to be for the 25th position, Casey Tucker.
26 to 30th is Ryan Lowe, Mitchell Hunt, Trey Edson, Adam Gilliland, and the 51 T-Love.
Round out the field, 31st position, Timmy Hill, Blake Bryant, Byron Daly, Robert Williams, and Tyler Hill inside of the top 35, with Nick Ottinger back in 36th position, not taking a time in qualifying. Same story for the 85 of Thomas Davis in 37th, rather than for the 82 of Alex Warren in 38th position. Those back 3 drivers do not take a time in qualifying. The top 35 do. We're going to bring the field, though, side by side through quarters number 3 and 4. And get set to go green flag racing for the unlucky number 13th time on the year. We'll see if that has us in store for a little bit of interesting racing here over the course of the night. The pace car going to duck down out of the way this time and leave the field in the hands of the 2-time champ, the number 2 Ford, immediately up on the loud pedal of Eric Canethanol. Green flag and underway from Michigan, round number 13. The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing is green, and it is not a challenge for the race lead. Ray Alfala's got that covered. We're side by side for second behind us. Overland challenges to the inside.
And I think we'll see the outside line quickly pulling away, which Taylor Hurst does manage to. Overland going to be slightly overpowered with Justin Bolton. Bolton getting off to a fairly decent start. He's still in fourth, but he's managed to keep his outside line. Dylan Duvall, Brian Blackford, though, who is on the outside line, is slowly going backwards. He lost a position to Josh Berry.
Everybody inside the top 10 starts to single file things out. You see the first little dose of 2 wide, back with that 57 to PJ Sturgis. He'll go 10th to 9th on the opening lap and was looking to the inside of Kenny Humpy. Not going to do it this time. Side by side behind him, the 29 of Kevin King goes for the move on the 11 of Brad Davies, gets that job, and in fact is just going to go right up to the inside of the 57. They're 2 wide, 2 rows deep.
Nifty little move by Kevin King to try to get to the inside of the 57, but can't do anything on that inside line. He'll fall in behind Sturgis for that spot. Brad Davies continues to work that outside line on the 10 of Corey Vincent. The 09 of David Rattler is in this little battle as well as they come up out of corner number 4. They'll come across the stripe. Looks like Vincent might have the edge barely on the 11 of Davies. Davies has that outside line, though. He's going to try to take that into corner number 1 and try to take that position, though the 10 drives it in deep into the corner. They'll continue to be side by side. Vincent might have the advantage here as they exit corner 2.
Just about clear, the 11 way up the hill. He'll keep it on the right rear and keep Corey Vincent honest. The outside, typically the better place to be. You saw it, especially when you're getting up the speed right off of the green flag for getting a run off of the corner, which is why it's so good to defend the position. The 11 a little bit slow, though, on that outside lane. The 10 was able to make the move. I think that's the 3rd spot that we've seen Brad Davies lose after he started 9th in this one, and maybe a 4th. The 09 of David Rattler to the inside. He'll beat him at the start-finish line for 12th position, so Davies tentatively in 13th. Well, he is still side by side, not looking good on that top side of the racetrack. He'll find the spot on line in front of Bias, gets sideways, they get into each other, coming out of turn number 2. Everybody get a check up behind. Crisis averted that time, and 3 wide down the backstretch, clamp it all the way to the inside.
Logan Clampett, he had the evasive maneuver right off the bat. I don't think he let off for at all. He went well to the inside. He went right around Michael Conti, and he's trying to power himself around Alan Bowes, but that inside line, I think we're just going to start to see it slowly fade away. Everyone ducks down on the stretches, but in the corners, the outside definitely comes into its own play. Nicholas Johnson, he's going to move on the inside of Michael Conti and possibly Clampett. He'll have to stack it back down as we look to the lead.
Battle for the race lead on. Ray Alfala's got it. Taylor Hurst wants it. The 74 has been kind of walking in his footsteps the last couple of times around. 5 laps going to be complete this time by from the Michigan International Speedway. The 74 loses a little bit of ground that time to 3 and 4. Gap going to be about 2 to 3 car lengths. And in fact, now Bolton starting to close into the 74. Maybe challenging for that number 2 position. Still, those 6 drivers, 1 through 6 position on the racetrack right now, scored within 7/10 of Ray Alfala topside. Nobody getting away quite yet.
74 had that outside line the last time by on the 2 of Alfala. Alfala was able to take the lead back on the inside line. Hurst had to fall back to position number 2. No lead change at the stripe, but the 74 had that run, could not complete it on Ray Alfala. Taylor Hurst looking strong here early in this race. He's bringing along Bolton. He's got Chris Overland there as well. Duvall and Josh Berry also within striking distance. 74 takes a little peek to the outside as they come across the stripe to complete the 6th lap. That 74 is up on the wheel early here, looking to get out in front of Ray Alfala and maybe pick up a bonus point for leading a lap. But Alfala, keep in mind, wants to lead the most laps here this evening, in turn picking himself up an extra bonus point. PJ Sturgis has made his way up to 7th, but Ray Alfala trying to make up every single point that he can to try to take back the championship point lead as we leave Michigan.
And the best thing you can do is get max points. And even sometimes when you have somebody coming from behind, you can do that. You can win races, and sometimes still may not be enough to get the job done. With just 3 points separating those two, he can do everything he can in his power and take the championship lead here. All he has to do is beat that other driver out by maybe 2-3 positions when he starts to talk about some of those bonus points. But again, Sturgis on the move to 57, up 3 positions. In fact, he's the biggest mover inside of the top 10 right now. We mentioned Brad Davies was having those issues off for the green flag, and in fact, I think we followed that 11 kind of fall backwards through those opening handful of laps. He settles out in 14th position. He was in front of that 27 of Cody Bias. The 27 Chevrolet has since gotten around him for 13th, so the 11 back 5 so far.
Now, some people haven't necessarily had the best starts. Brian Blackford has had a fairly not that great start. He's given up the positions to PJ Sturgios and Josh Berry. right off the bat. But you know what? Overall, though, I think that if they stayed in that main pack like I'm seeing, we're seeing a main pack breakaway about maybe 7 cars, and then you've got a gap between the next couple of cars, and I think people are going to start stringing themselves out just a little bit. You still see some side-by-side action in the back of the field. Adam Gilliland is working on the inside of Casey Tucker, the number 8 Ford Fusion, on another Ford of Tucker. But overall, though, as they start to work themselves in, they're just going to wear their tires in more and more and more, and those cars ahead are just going to start to pull away. I also have to say, Nicholas Johnson, he's been trying to move up. He started 21st. He's up to 19th.
Drivers qualified up at the front of the field inside of the 37-second bracket. In fact, I think everybody in qualifying, top to bottom, was between a 37.2 at the top and a 37.7 at the bottom. So only 5/1 of a second separating guys in qualifying. A fairly tight grid, but it is a relatively good lap time for a 2-mile D-shaped oval. And we'll have the first 10 laps of 125 tonight complete this time around. Things calm up front, showing that maybe the objective here in this one is to ride this one out. Maybe get to some green flag pit stops and let some strategy do the talking. Side by side, a little bit deeper back there, Bernardi and Nicholas Johnston on the inside of the 5 Michael Conti, and Bernardi Chevrolet going to make the move that time in turn 1, slide up and get clear. 5 ducks low, diamonds it off of the corner, maybe peeks back to the inside. Not going to happen this time around, though. They'll trade 18th and 19th position.
As they go at it for that spot, you talk about riding here, and I talked to the strategist from Aftermath Motorsports a little bit earlier on, and it seems like that's the team this season that every time we have a green flag run, Evan, they're the first to throw the hand out the window saying we're coming down pit road. And they didn't say laps, but I heard them say 3 stops this evening. Wouldn't tell me when, but if it's a 3-stop race, you would think just after 30, after 60, and after 90, these drivers would be down on the pit road to get service on their race cars as Conti completes the pass again on Johnston to move him up one more spot. That puts him back to 18th, and here comes Dylan C. Jones, and 90 slams the door on the 0-3, cuts him off down into corner number 3. That was a close call for the 90, but as we mentioned, I don't know what you guys have been hearing, but Evan, when I talked to those guys, they said 3 stops for this race. If it were to go green to checker.
So far, so good. Couple of close calls, and again, close calls here at 190 plus, sometimes 205 plus miles an hour, are a little bit more treacherous than a little bit more of the frequent contact that we saw 2 weeks ago from Watkins Glen that you had a little bit more leeway with. But you definitely saw those guys battling for that top side down at a turn number 2. If you can shut that outside lane, obviously you're going to take away that run for the guy behind you. Jones had to secede that
incident
position.
With Brian Blackford. We have an incident on the track with Brian Blackford, in the 88 car, I believe, the Pete car. That's Josh Berry. I kind of saw that one develop, and they got a little too close to each other, and I believe they just nipped bumper to rear. And well, you know what? We didn't see a big pileup. I have to say, good evasion from everybody on the track.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. It was going down to turn number 3, and it was a battle for a top 10 position on the racetrack. They were fighting over 7th. Barry had it. The 22 machine of Brian Blackford wanted it, and it looked like the 88 came down a little bit sooner than the 22 would have thought that he would, but he got into the right front. It hooked those cars around. I don't think the 22 could keep it off of him. Blackford's able to hang on. It does send Josh Berry up into the outside fence. A pretty good piece of contact. He was slow in the middle of the track. That's where things could have gone downhill quickly. Everybody does a good job, though, going high and going low to get around. We do have a caution, though, lap number 13.
So the caution flag does fly, and I would anticipate a lot of these drivers down on pit road this time to get service to their race cars, or under this caution flag at least, halfway or so through a green flag run, or what would be a green flag run if these guys did go the distance. And Alfala, along with the rest of the field, pointing towards pit road right now. Taylor Hirsch, Justin Bolton, Chris Overland, Dylan Duvall, all those guys heading down towards pit road for service on their cars for the first time this evening on lap number 15.
That's the beauty of talking about strategy in the first green flag run in this race, is the second you get a caution flag, that strategy is going to be altered. They'll still try to hit maybe the same lap numbers as far as what they're going to do on the tires if we do go green flag racing for an entire stint, but this does definitely change the complexion of the game. Looks like everybody wanting to come down at lap number 15. The 2 machine into the number 1 pit stop for the number 1 position. Right side tires, left side tires going to go up. It's going to be a 4-tire gas and go for the Alfala Tech Ford. He's going to come off of pit road third, though. 3 drivers going to beat him off of the pit lane, led by the 47 of Chris Overland. who also went with 4 tires and fuel. Justin Bolton out second, Taylor Hurst third, and then Alfala P4.
Everyone just cycling through their way through, and let's see. I don't think Clampett got any positions off of that one. Sturgios, very, very ballsy. I have to say he's right behind Ray Alfala now, though the crew didn't necessarily get everything sorted out quickly. I have to say Alfala and Sturgios, well, here we go.
And I think we made that point earlier, Cam was talking about it, Tim, that while these are the top 2 in the championship, and absolutely there's battles, as we mentioned, for third, a tie for fourth in the championship standings with 2 drivers and so on and so forth, and there's many drivers battling to make the cut line to make sure that they are able to stay in this championship and not have to requalify over the winter. Looking forward to 2017. We're going to be talking about this championship battle a lot, and it seems like we talk about these 2 a lot more because somehow, some way, they always end up side by side on the racetrack.
It's almost like there's a magnet in between those 2 race cars, and at the end of the race, they're somewhere within the top 5, or they're looking for something along those lines to, battle it out for a spot on the racetrack. Adam Gilliland going to lead a lap here under the caution flag, and he's going to come down and get service to his race car. But Alfala, Sturgis, once again, they are going to line up side by side by the looks of it. It's going to be exciting here to see what they can do over this 125-lap stretch. It seems like they all accordion back together by the time this race is over with, so we'll see if Sturgis or Alfala can get the advantage here on this restart.
We do get set to go back green flag racing. Adam Gilliland did take over the race lead after he rolled through pit road the first time. Does get a bonus point for leading lap number 15. He's going to exit the pit lane this time around, catch back up to the field. The lights are out on top of the American Childhood Cancer Organization Ford Mustang GT pace car. So they're doubled up. And we get set to go back green flag racing once again. So here's how things get mixed up at the front of the field. You got Chris Overland to the inside of row number 1. He'll bring us back to the green flag. Justin Bolton outside in P2. Taylor Hurst inside row number 2, third. Ray Alfala outside in 4th. And that 57 to PJ Sturgis at a race high P5. We'll see how the inside and the outside fare in a battle off down to turn number 1 as they get these cars back up to speed. 16 laps going to be complete tonight for Michigan as the base car ducks down to the safety of pit road this time, leaving the field in the hands of the 47. Chris Overland off of the corner, and just as we saw on the drop of the first green flag by Alfala, no hesitation from the race leader. Chris Overland gets off and gets going.
And off and away just like that, heading into corner number 1, Overland is, and that number 47. What a jump, but I have a feeling, though, once we get to that back stretch, everyone gets back up to speed. He might actually get a little bit swamped here. Taylor Hurst on the inside of Ray Alfala. We'll see if he slots up. Yes, he does, though. Good start from everybody, though. But PJ Sturgios already having one car, Taylor Hurst, in between him and Ray Alfala.
Spreading things out. Good job by the 2 on the race start to get going. And again, you look the 2 machine to the outside, or rather to the inside of that second row for the restart, talking about how he was able to get up on the outside and get around. 57 was on the bottom. Bottom hasn't really shown that it's been the place to be when you drop the hammer here tonight. So the 57 doesn't lose anything. He doesn't pick up anything. He's still up 5, though, from where he was at the start of this race. Curious to see what that number 47 Chris Overland has got. A great qualifying effort here tonight after starting in 3rd position, and also a good showing in the short 15-minute warm-up they had before they went trackside P10 in that session. Out in front, out in clean air, we haven't seen a pass for the race win yet under green flag conditions. The 47 hoping to keep it that way.
And through the first 14 laps before we went to caution, and albeit a very short period of time, we saw the 2, the 74 and the 36 be really strong, and the 47 be able to hang with them. So it looks like right now, with just a little bit of change of position, these drivers are still out in front and putting on a show. Ray Alfala got mighty close to Justin Bolton through 3 and 4. Couldn't do anything with the run. He'll fall back to position number 3, get that run off corner number 2. Does he do anything down here into 3? 36 holds that position. The 2 seems to get a really good run down into corner number 3. Just can't seem to do anything or go anywhere with that run when they get down into the middle of the corner. Overland going to lead this lap as the 36, the 2, and the 74 are all going to dance for position number 2.
Good news for Overland up topside, because if they battle for second, it's going to tend to slow those guys down, and he should be able to try to open up a gap. 36 machine adjusted Bolton, another driver, fast car, top 10 in both practice and qualifying, occupying the number 2 position at the moment. Same like we saw them in that first stint, Cam. Nobody is really running away. Great restart by Overland. We'll talk about that in a minute. Caution back out at lap number 16, sideways down the backstretch. Tyler Hill, and it looks like the 4 of Timmy Hill out of shape. The number 4 Ford is parked up against the outside fence. We'll slow him down for the second time tonight.
Yeah, from what I can see from Timmy Hill, looks like he had to check up to keep it out of the rear end of the 51 of Tyler Lawton. When he did that, he got rear-ended by Casey Tucker as he was right there coming off of speed. He tried to hold it together, but unfortunately there was a couple of cars in front. He tried to get it away as well as he can, and actually Tyler Hill, he made a fairly good move, and he only really tapped the outside wall, but once again we saw some great evasion from the rest of the field.
Just a little bit of a piece of damage topside when we saw that second car come in on the outside of the racetrack. The 9 machine, I think the damage actually going to come from the outside fence Tyler Hill got into, as opposed to that car sliding across the track. Could have been worse. Again, 2 accidents. The first one was down in 3. That one was coming out of turn number 2. Both of them end up more or less with just one car taking the majority of the damage in it. So another single car accident going to bring out the second yellow on the night. That should bridge us to about 100 laps to go or so. We're working lap 21 of 125. Overland going to duck down pit road at the last second. Looks like Alfala going to come in with him. Taylor Hurst is also coming in from 4th. PJ Sturgis, Dylan Duvall, Kevin King, Kenny Humpy, Alan Bowes all stay out. Brian Blackford in from 10th, almost 50-50 on the decision.
There's a lot of drivers that did come down pit road, especially near the back of the field when we saw those leaders come in. It seems like the vast majority of those guys outside the top 10 decided that they were going to peel down onto pit road. Bolton is going to take the lead of this race as Overland gets service on his double clutch number 47. He'll be down and away momentarily, and we'll see if he can get some speed off pit road. 47 is down and away. I believe the 44 may have got out in front of he and the 2 of Ray Alfala. Clampett may be doing some strategy here.
Race off of pit road, going to put the 47 second off in that battle. Ray Alfala wins the battle off of pit road. He does go with 4 tires on that service. You mentioned the 44 Logan Clampett. He beats all of those drivers out of pit road, going with just 2 right side tires. So the 2 tires going to give him an advantage to the cars in front of him. Going to give him an obvious disadvantage to the cars around him. But that was a very short stint, Cam, so I'm not sure if it's really a terrible call by Logan Clampett. You could look at it one of 2 ways. You could say, well, they haven't been out there that long. 4 tires aren't going to be that much better than 2 tires if you're looking at maybe who's going to be able to pick through these guys who stayed out first. You could also look at it on the other hand and say, well, they weren't out there that long, so 2 tires isn't going to make much of a difference from no tires. He should have gotten 4 to get some sort of an advantage. It'll be fun to see what happens on the restart.
Oh, well, absolutely, and I have to say, I'm kind of for it for the 2 tires. I mean, we talk about a stint. It was barely a lap and a half, really, so a lap and a half is not going to do that much on those tires. Certainly, it's a heat cycle, but it shouldn't have taken too much away from it, so Clampett is going to be right up there with Alfala. And, of course, they've put another lap and a half of fuel in there, too, which is going to possibly come into some play later.
50, or rather the 36 adjusted Bolton stays out to lead the 57 of PJ Sturgis, so they'll be on the old tires for the moment. Sturgis now back in front of Ray Alfala. Alfala back in 10th. He has an 8-position disadvantage now to the INX Ford. Dylan Duvall, as we mentioned, stayed out. The 42 going to go to 3rd. Kevin King going to go to 4th. Kenny Humpy, P5. Alan Bowes, P6. Cody Bias and Thomas Davis, 7th and 8th position. So the front 4 rows for the restart could be made up with no tires. Clampett, I think, the only driver that did elect to go with just 2 out of those who came down pit road. 9th through 36th position, being driver still scored on the lead lap.
And we're going to see some drivers now within the top 10 that we really haven't spoke about all night long. Kenny Humpy started in position number 7. We really haven't talked about the 58. He's sitting in position number 5. As you mentioned, Alan Bowe started 17th. He's up there in the top 10. The one name that stands out at me right now is the silent ninja, Thomas Davis. He's cut his way all the way up to position number 8 with staying out on the racetrack. See if the 85 can do anything here. He's had a couple of runs this season, Evan, that I know he wants to forget about. wants to really turn it around and put a highlight on this 2016 season for this 85 team and put this thing at least within the top 10, maybe even a top 5 this evening. He's got a lot of teammates up in front of him that did stay out, including Bolton, Dylan Duval, Kevin King, and Kenny Humpy, along with Cody Bias. So we'll see what the 85 can do here. He'll restart in position number 8. He stayed out on the racetrack, as I believe we're getting ready to go green next time by.
Yeah, staying out makes him the biggest mover right now, 37th to 8th position. He's picked up, nearly 30 spots so far to this point, 29 positions to the positive from where he started. The biggest mover of drivers who did take tires and maybe in a little bit of a better position, the 51 of Tyler Laughlin. He was down for 4 tires the last time, so without the use of a pit strategy, if you will, which we'll say the top 8 are the guys who made the strategy call to stay out, as opposed to the guys who came down being the ones going off sequence. Laughlin, one of the drivers, came in. He's gone 30th to 16th position. A long green flag stretch on this run, Cam, I think would do the best for the guys who pitted as far as trying to weed through these guys, because 2-3 drivers stay out up front. It shouldn't be that hard getting around them. 8 of them, though, is time consuming, and by the time you get around a good amount of them, you might run out of steam, and Bolton could be gone up front.
Well, certainly, and if second and third start fighting, of course, PJ Sturgis is there, Dylan Duval, as well as Kevin King, so we don't really know what they could be doing, but if they start fighting, well, I don't think they're going to get away. If they just go in a single file, I have a feeling they might be gone.
Pace car going to tuck away. We'll have 24 laps complete of 125 on the night. It'll be a restart with 101 laps to go in the Michigan 250. Bolton inside, Sturgis outside. The leader has gone the instant the pace car is ducked down 2 times at a 2 so far tonight. The 36 waits just a little bit longer, but does bring us back to green flag racing conditions, back underway, and absolutely caught sleeping the 57 of PJ Sturgis. We go 3 wide for third as Kevin King tries to jump high side to get around it. That not going to happen. He'll duck back down in line. The 58 of Kenny Humpy coming up the bottom.
Do you think the team may have timed that restart? Look at those drivers that bolted up through the front. Justin Bolton, Dylan Duval, Kenny Humpy. You got Cody Bias, who's battling side by side now with PJ Sturgis. He got a good start, as did Kevin King. It was almost the team top 5 as they went down into corner number 1. But the top 3 will be Bolton, Duval, and the 58. Sturgis fighting back now in position number 4. Behind them, Alan Bowes picks up a spot on Kevin King. And here comes Alfala. We're 2 and 3 wide as we fan out down the front straightaway.
Tighter pack now than they were on the restart. 3 wide, the 74 of Hurst to the inside. He tries to make the move from battling with Overland to battling with the 85 of Thomas Davis. Can't get back to the gas, though, off the corner. And in fact, he'll lose the spot he was battling for in the first place. Way sideways at a turn 2 was Alan Bowes. The 21 all the way down below the white line to hang on to it. And I think he might still get the position. He was fighting with Cody Bias, and he's in front of him at a turn 4. Great recovery by that 21 Toyota as he wants to get out, get clear, and get away from that 2-wide action behind him.
And Chris Overland forcing his way, trying to go to the inside line, but Michael Conti was having none of it. I think they made contact twice going down the front stretch. And ultimately, though, Chris Overland getting shuffled back in the crowd. Ray Alfala, he's almost trying to work his way through. I almost thought he was going to try to go 3 wide off of the exit. But ultimately, though, I have a feeling those tires, they are making just enough of a difference that the cars are able to position themselves where they can make a pass. But from what we've seen, this is exactly what you were talking about, Evan. It is taking them a while to get through this traffic here. There's a massive bunch of cars from about 8th position back. There's just 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 as far as the eye can see. That's fingers crossed. Hopefully everything can stay nice and clean.
Hudson going to be another driver to make it 3 wide to turn 1. We saw Hurst try it. It didn't work. Trying to see if the 01 could make it work this time. He ends up 2 wide by the time they come off the corner. Meanwhile, in front of him, some more 3 wide. Hudson goes to the inside. The block Donati, Nicholas Johnson. All of this is about trying to get around these cars as quick as possible, trying to get up to that clean air to try to chase down the guys up front. But all of this going on at a battle for about 10th position. That's over a second off of the top spot. That's still occupied by Justin Bolton. It's fun to watch. I'll give you that much. The 5 machine, Michael Conti, clear of it all at the moment. He's up in 9th position. The 74 of Taylor Hurst side by side with Thomas Davis for 10th, and he'll get that spot in turn 1.
And the first battle up in front, that is side by side right now, is the 2 and the 21 as they go at it. It's Ray Alfalla to the inside of those new tires. Alan Bowes on the outside. Alfalla will try to clear the 21 down the straightaway. He'll drive it in and he'll pick up that position as Kevin King is next up on the list for the Alfalla Tech Ford. 2 to the inside of the 29 as they come up out of corner number 4 in Alfalla. These last couple of passes, it seems like he's making it look easy as Alfalla will duck to the inside and he'll look to pick up position number 5. He'll bring Alan Bowes along with him and Taylor Hurst now into the picture as well. These guys are getting racy and it just seems like Ray Alfalla is just slightly ahead of those guys in the tires coming towards the front.
Well, now he's made himself into the drivers who stayed out, so he does have a tire advantage back in the pack in that battle for 11th, 12th, which, by the way, they're still 2 wide, a couple of rows deep. I think that's still guys who all have 4 tires trying to get around each other to get up to some of these guys who decided to stay out on pit road. So the 2 spearheads that 4-tire charge. He's right up to the back bumper as of last time by, making the move on the 29 of Kevin King for 5th. To the back bumper of the 57 of PJ Sturgis. Again, Alfalla trying to do what he wants to do every single week, and I think what everybody wants to do every single week. Get out front, lead the most laps, win the race, walk out of here with max points. He already has a bonus point guaranteed for a lap led, something that PJ Sturgis does not, and your championship leader is going to go side by side for 4th down to turn number 3. Alfalla to the bottom of the racetrack, and it makes the easy move into the corner.
And if you're PJ Sturgis, I think you got to start disengaging and looking here. Well, we've got a 125-lap race. We're on lap number 31. He might try something if he gets the opportunity and he has the overspeed. But what's the point of possibly wrecking? Obviously, right now they're running good. Top 5 for the both of them, really. It's a top 5 as it stands. So for me, I would almost say let's not go too crazy. Alfalla lines up and gets the inside line on Dylan Duval. I think he would just stick to easier jobs if they can. But obviously, we'll keep the sketchy stuff for a little bit later. But well, everyone else just seems to be rolling out fairly well right now as Michael Conti looks to the inside of Kevin King.
Yeah, this is still, by far and large, and obviously majorly due in part to the tires, the most aggressive racing we've seen and sustained off of a restart so far tonight. You look inside of the top 5, you'll see the 74 Taylor Hurst now following in the footsteps of the 2 of Ray Alfalla, trying to get clear of the 42 of Dylan Duval. He'll get the job done at a turn number 2, and Duval now has to deal with the 57 of PJ Sturgis, who crosses him up, and they'll battle for what I think is going to be the number 5 or 6 position down to turn number 3. All of this now as Ray Alfalla to the inside on the Peak Chevrolet of Kenny Humpy and into the number 2 position. He's made it all the way up to P2, 1 car to go, and just in front of him is your race leader, Justin Bolton. He'll be there in a lap or 2.
We've seen the 2, the 74, and the 36 in those short bursts of green flag racing that we had earlier be the class of the field. Now Alfalla to the back bumper of the 36. He'll look to the inside. A little bit of a tire advantage on the 2 compared to the 36. They'll go side by side behind them. Hurst will try to take the spot away from Humpy. He will be successful. Alfalla will go to the lead on the 36, and now we'll see if the 74 can follow suit and try to get by this 36 for position number 2. And Evan, the only other driver that we saw in those 2 short bursts of green flag racing that we saw be able to really keep up with those guys up front, Chris Overland right now runs in position number 11, and I believe he's stuck back here in this little hornet's nest that's battling with the 90, the 29, the 71, and pretty much the rest of the field.
Yeah, we last checked in with those guys when they were 3 wide. They're 2 wide at the moment, and I think single file that time, but at turn number 2 for a brief moment, but they're still tightly packed together. There's plenty of fighting going on the racetrack, and Alfalla trying to run away with this one. 74 continuing to do everything Ray's doing, just maybe 1 lap behind. Alfalla passed Bolton for the race lead at lap number 36, or rather 34, so this time at 35, the 74 makes that move on to 36. So Bolton going to drop back to 3rd, and again, a long green flag stretch. Well, the short run speed key to get around those guys who stayed out, obviously quickly to be able to get to the race lead. The long stretch will really amplify the advantage of those 4 tires. You take a look back, how about the 58 and the 5 battling amongst themselves? Kenny Humpy and Michael Conti for position, and all of this while the 01 of Tyler Hudson sits helplessly in front and tries to defend that preferred lane, which is basically 1 lane up off of the bottom of the racetrack, right above that first seam. Seems to be where these guys want to go in their single file.
And, well, from what we're seeing, as the line will be developing, I mean, today, the track, it's 89 degrees Fahrenheit on the track temperatures. It's not too toasty right now, but as these guys obviously put their cars on that, they're going to lay down the rubber, they're going to warm up that track, and we'll have to see what the line goes. I think they might drift up just a little bit higher as time goes on. As Kenny Humpy, he's on the inside right now of Nicholas Johnson, but just watching these two cars, the 58 and the 90 here, we're seeing in the entry, obviously Kenny Humpy has the inside line, but as that outside line gets power, he's able to start pulling away, and it's, as we're seeing some people go way below the white line on the front stretch, like Dylan Duval is. Overall, I think right now it's just trying to get themselves sorted into the corners. As you were saying in the pre-race show, Evan, this is a very wide track, and from what we're seeing right now, everybody's trying to use as much of it as possible.
Absolutely. The battling continues. Look at this. 3 wide down the backstretch with the 47, the 42, and the 44. Chris Overland going to get clear on the outside to make it 2 wide by the time they get down to the corner. You got Logan Clampett, who slides up to the preferred lane in, tries to shut the door on the 42. The 10 of Corey Vincent jumping to the outside. This is what Michigan lends us to see. Very high speeds, a relatively wide groove, and a very wide racetrack that allows these guys to do these very things is the product of what you're seeing right now. And now 3 wide inside the top 10. PJ Sturgis going to get split to the inside, the 70 of Mitchell Hunt, and to the outside, the 58 of Kenny Humpy on him.
These guys are getting racy. Lap number 39 being put on the board. 57 to the inside, 47 of Overland to the outside as they'll dance down into corner number 3. The 44 of Clampett closing in on this battle, as is the 10. What a run for Corey Vincent through corner 3 and 4. Nowhere to put it on the 44. He'll suck up tight to Logan Clampett as they come off of corner number 4 and across the stripe this time. It's Jones and Jake Sturgis behind them. Brian Blackford, after having that solid qualifying effort, sits back in position number 15. Fantastic little battle just within and outside the top 10 as they work through corner number 2, lap number 40 being worked on the board as they run down the back.
I mean, a good 10 laps off of the restart still came in. We're 2 wide, 3 rows deep down the back straightaway inside of the top 20 right now. Positions 10th through 20th position, separated that last time by just 0.8 of a second. Not a good corner exit for the 57 of PJ Sturgis. He's got a hornet's nest all over him. 5, 6 cars ducked to the bottom.
Yeah, and he's pushed well to the outside line right now. 3 wide once again. He's starting to cycle back, which is getting to be...
Up in front of the field, a different story than what you see back outside of the top 10, around that 20th position or so. Ray Alfalla, who got to the race lead, still sitting a constant 0.3 of a second in front of Taylor Hurst. We've since seen Tyler Hudson go to 3rd, Michael Conti go to 4th, Nicholas Johnson P5, Mitchell Hunt 6th, and then you'll find Justin Bolton, who led a handful of laps off for the restart, back in the 7th position. He's been relegated 2.9 seconds back from that top spot at the moment. More battling behind. How about the 41 of Jake Sturgis? Haven't said that name yet. He's going to go in line behind the 47 of Chris Overland and take 9th away from Logan Clampett.
As they shuffle for position back there, it allows a guy like Jake Sturgis to get up into the top 10 and battle with these drivers up in front of him. He's got the 47 of Overland, he's got the 36 of Bolton, and just behind him he's got the 44 of Logan Clampett. The 41 really coming to life here in this run as he goes to the inside of Overland. They'll come across the stripe side by side, and it looks like that will be the battle for 8th, and Jake Sturgis will take it down into corner number 1, and he'll also look at 7th place. There he goes in the 36 of Justin Bolton. Bolton leaves the door open just wide enough. Overland thinks about it in corner number 2, but cannot get that car to the inside, and Clampett takes a little peek to the inside of the 47. Looks like he might have a run going down into corner number 3. He'll try to take it away from him as they go side by side. Blackford going to try to follow suit as well.
I'm sure as fun as this is for these guys, we always talk to them after an exciting battle. 2016's been full of that as the 44 Clampett gets a little bit sideways at a turn 4. It'll open up the door for Overland to jump down to the inside, side by side, 4th and 9 position. I'm sure a lot of them just want to get back single file in line, try to get some space and ride this one out. Again, all of this, a lot's gone on from the drop of the green flag through to now at number 44. not even at the halfway point yet. In fact, just past 1/3 distance here from Michigan International Speedway. They're putting on a clinic, though, nonetheless. And the good news in this one is even with that 2 and a lot of the time 3 wide action off of the restart, it has remained relatively clean off of this restart. They're being aggressive, but nobody forcing the issue yet. They're taking the moves, no doubt. They're not going to let an opportunity go by, but nobody maybe forcing the issue yet. Sure, a couple of those 3 wides were a little bit interested to make it a late step out to the bottom of the racetrack, but so far so good. First side-by-side fight now. 36 of Justin Bolted, 47 to Chris Overland. It's for 8th on track. They're side-by-side behind with Blackford and Clampett as well. And we'll throw a third lane, side-by-side action in behind them with the 09 and the 10 as well. We're going to go 3 wide again. Blackford all the way to the bottom.
And as they are working their way 3 wide out on the bottom, we're just seeing, once again, these guys are clustering themselves up. I mean, we're seeing 3 wide in quite a different couple of parts of the track. I mean, Brad Davies is even trying to take things 3 wide on the inside of Logan Clampett. We are seeing, though, Evan, I see up in the corner of my eye, a trio of cars starting to head down pit road. Dylan Duvall, Cody Bias, and Thomas Davis are all starting to head down pit road. As we're starting to see this green flag run starting to get its first couple of cars in pit lane.
Yeah, jumping ship, if you will, and coming down pit road, trying to get out of the chaos. The 21 machine over the radio also this last time by Alan Bose from 20th on the racetrack. He comes over the radio and says that he'll be coming down pit side this time at lap number 46. We'll see if that number 21 Toyota does indeed come through with that. He'll drop down to the inside of the racetrack, and he is going to come in for service this time by. So it has been non-stop action off of the restart, talking about some of the fuel numbers that we thought we might see in this one. We're not all that removed from the restart in this race. Just back on lap number 23, we were under caution flag conditions. Your race leaders down pit road, though, about 23 laps later.
But keep in mind, we had 9 drivers that stayed out on the racetrack from the lap 14 caution, so this makes sense for guys like the 21, the 42, the 85 to start peeling down pit road to get service on their race cars now. If they are going about 30 laps on their run, they would have went green approximately lap 17 or so on that exchange of first green or caution flag pit stops. The 47 and 44 nearly had a moment coming out of corner number 4 the last time by. The 44 got into the back bumper of the 47, sent the 44 sideways, and almost piled up about 15 cars behind them, Evan. The 44 has fallen back one more spot to the 09 of Rattler. The 03 of Dylan C. Jones now looks to the inside as Alan Bose will merge back onto the racetrack after being onto pit road, but a very close call for Chris Overland in the 44 just a couple laps ago as they battle within this little pack within the top 10.
So far, we haven't seen really a large influx of cars come down pit road, Cam, but you noted before we dropped the green flag on this one that pit road can be a little bit interesting getting down to speed and get on to pit road speed 4, especially off of turn number 4. Not really an apron here that you can go down to be able to effectively get pit side. Look at the 42 machine, fresh tires. Look at the difference for these guys at a battle for 10th position. They're 3 wide, and a 4th lane comes out of nowhere because Dylan Duvall says he's got to get going. The 27 to Cody Bias on fresh tires says he's got to get going, so it gives you a good look at how drastic the fall off has been in the 20-25 some odd laps since we went back green flag race. Look at the 42 bottom to top on that 22 of Blackford. These are lap cars getting around your race leaders and showing you just how important those tires are. But pit road could be tricky coming out of turn number 4, especially some of those 2 wide situations, because when you're slowing down, that's why these guys let each others know that they're going to be headed pit side. You might think not the best strategical idea to come over the radio and let everybody know, hey, I'm pitting this time when you're going down the back. But if you don't, you're coming down pit road from the 1st or 2nd lane on the racetrack. You could get hit in the back end.
Oh, absolutely. And, of course, halting that car from 200-something miles an hour, or about 180, which would probably track down about 170 once your tires are ready to go. It's not necessarily something you can easily do. And also, that running line is going to be used by fast traffic, to be fair. That is going to be a line that is going to be used by typical racing cars. So what you're going to end up doing, and I've been watching Alan Bose just as you've been watching Dylan Duvall and Cody Bias watch through. Alan Bose is now going on the inside of our race leader, Ray Alfella, unlapping himself on his brand new set of tires on his Toyota Camry. But overall, I mean, it's one thing to try and settle the car down onto the flat apron, and then you got to get on the binders and hopefully not work that car up. But Alan Bowes right now, I think they might have made an adjustment, or perhaps his beginning race set is loose, because that car, that number 21, the rear end has been stepping out of that thing since he left pit lane.
We were talking about some of the numbers earlier in this one, Tim, mentioning that maybe a three-stop strategy was on the mind of a couple of these teams without exact numbers in a situation where this race goes green all the way. We had caution flags earlier on in this one. We went back green with 101 laps to go, so we talked about maybe 30 laps on a stint. Well, we've seen drivers go lower than that. 21, 22, 23 was the range that we saw the first couple of drivers come down pit road. If we see guys like Ray Alfala, who continues to stay out on the racetrack noticeably slower than the guys with fresh tires, you have to think that he's maybe trying to hit a different fuel number, and if you go 30 and 30 and 30, you'd be 10 laps shy of being able to make it to the end on this one. Maybe they add 2-3 laps to each stint and make this a two-stop race from this point on.
Yeah, most of those drivers that just came down pit road were the drivers that pitted on lap number 15 under the caution flag. So they've gone about 30 laps on their run. If those guys that came down pit road and they restarted on lap number 24, if they're coming down pit road within 30 laps, it's about their window right now to head down. But you look at a guy like Justin Bolton. Bolton stayed out on that second caution flag. First pit stop was on lap 15. He's still out on the racetrack in position number 9 right now, even though he is falling back through the pack. So we'll see what happens with a strategy like a Justin Bolton. Maybe he's trying to extend it a little bit, and he's holding his own right now, keeping in mind that those tires a little bit older than some of the others. He's battling with PJ Sturgis, who's on the same strategy. Clamp it on 2 tires from that second caution, and there goes the 02, just blowing the doors off them. The 93 of Byron Daly going to do the same thing.
More race leaders say that they're going to be headed pit side this time. We'll see if Ray Alfala get a hop on board from the top spot. He is now 2.6 seconds in front of Jake Sturgis. He will not be coming down pit road. The 90 of Nicholas Johnston, who's had quite the race. He started 21st. He's running third. He'll come down pit road this time at a quarter number 4. Give third away to that 22 of Brian Blackford.
Now we're starting to see everyone starting to work their way and sort their way through here, and I'm just wondering when Ray Alfala might decide to take his way into pit lane. He's on the backstretch right now, and as he's working his way, he has an absolutely massive gap. I mean, we're looking at right now, it is a gap of about 2.36 seconds as it is, and we're starting to actually see, Evan, on the light asphalt of this Michigan track, a darker line start to come in from the rubber actually being laid down on the surface. And of course, all 4 corners are in the sun, so they should be warming up. But overall, I have to say, as far as the pit sequencing goes, I kind of have to wonder when Alfala, Sturgios, and Blackford might start to come in, because it has been a while, and really it's getting to the point where the entire field starts having newer tires. And when that starts happening, as I believe Overland has just tapped the outside wall, but if that starts happening, it really, I think the tires are more advantageous than your fuel run.
You do see from a wide angle that noticeable line come in, and again, it's right up there about 1.5, 2 lanes off at the bottom of the racetrack. Brad Davies going to come in from the number 4 position this time by trickle down pit road lap number 56. So he goes just past, I think, 32 laps since that we were last under caution flag conditions for him to trickle down pit road this time and get service. So you're seeing a handful of different strategies. Ray Alfala over the radio says that he will be headed pit side this time at lap number 57, almost right at that 33 lap number. That would lead you to believe that he might be indeed trying to make this one on what would be a 2-3 stop strategy to the end of the race.
And he will come down to pit road. He'll storm the line. He'll get down to pit speed, and a nice entry onto pit road for the 241 will take the lead. Jake Sturgis will lead lap number 57 on the racetrack. And look at all the cars coming down to pit road right now. Brian Blackford, Fayash, you got the 47, you got PJ Sturgis, Bolton, Humpy, Kevin King. A lot of those drivers that were on that strategy of staying out under that second caution flag, they're down on pit road for service now, and I believe Jake Sturgis is coming down this time.
We see it very often when the race leader or somebody from inside of the top 5 decides to pit, even under these circumstances, obviously with maybe a different strategy than some other guys. Jake Sturgis, who took over the race lead, going to come in this time by the idea that If you can't beat him, join him, come down pit road, stay on the same strategy, keep that guy in your eyesight, and just be with him over the course of the race. You might get a caution flag. You're there to battle late. Other guys take the other mentality, that is, if the guy's out front and he's staying out and I'm not as quick as him, I'm either going to come down pit road before him, or when he pits, I'm going to come down pit road after him. You got to figure something out to get yourself off sequence with him. Try anything to try to shake this one up. So while Jake Sturgis comes in, gives up the top spot, it puts the number 74 of Taylor Hurst in control of the field. He just got around the 5 of Michael Conti about 4 laps ago. He was down pit road at lap number 51, so he's already been serviced and kind of signifies the end of that first cycle.
Yeah, and Taylor Hurst, of course, collecting his point for leading a lap, as well as I think, honestly, we're going to have quite a couple of leaders at the end of this one, Evan. We had that caution, those double cautions, around the first 15, 16, 17 laps of this motor race. But after that, we have been clear and green sailing for just the entirety of that stint. Plus, everything seems to be going fairly well here, which is surprising, Evan. I mean, we had a lot of cut and dagger racing going on, very dramatic moments, and thankfully everything sorted out. And overall, though, as we have sorted everything out as far as the pit cycle goes, Ray Alfalla has come out, and he is way back in 16th position. And I'm sure, though, once we start getting through with this, it's almost about 10, 15 laps time for the other guys, the other cycle it seems to be at this point, to start coming in and getting their pit service. So this should be very interesting, Evan, very interesting indeed.
I think we're lucky to be able to get through to this point, knock on wood, incident-free. Not only was the action incredible off of that green flag run and the 2 and 3 wide that ensued for the opening 10, 15 laps of the run, but also with having such a broad window from when the first drivers came down pit road and when you saw these last guys cycle it out. As you take a live look at that battle for second position, Michael Conti, who would have gone over to take over the race lead in this cycle until being passed by Taylor Hurst a couple laps ago, obviously pitted before these two guys. Tyler Hudson coming up from third, a little bit better tires to the inside, side by side for second. Shouldn't be too much of an issue for the 0-1 down to turn number 1, and he'll get that position. Such a broad window of pit service. We saw again guys at one point 3 wide for position inside of the top 10 in turn number 1, while being lapped by 2 people on the bottom, guys who were getting their lead lap status back, and they were faster by 10 miles an hour. That kind of a closing rate with all the stuff that was going on the racetrack could have led to a couple of tricky situations, and these guys safely navigate through it to lap 62.
And you see a couple of new names, let's say, up in the top 10 that we haven't spoken about a lot this evening. T-Loff is one of them. He looks underneath Cody Bias right now. That is the battle for position number 8. The 51 has had a couple of good runs this season, Evan, but he doesn't have the finishes to show for it. He's had a problem of closing the deal and getting those finishes to get that 51, those points that he needs at the end of the day. And right now up to position number 8 and pulling away from the 27 car. This could possibly be T-Loff's night if he can, maybe parlay a little bit of strategy into a top 5 run. And he's closing in on Dylan Duval. That's the next one up on the list for the 51. That's position number 7. Great run for the 51 thus far.
63 laps complete that time by as we cross the halfway point in tonight's race. Let's take a look at our iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, the IMSA, and many more. Taylor Hurst, your leader at lap number 64. He started second. He's P1 right now as we wait to see the effects of a very prolonged cycle of green flag service. It has Tyler Hudson up to the number 2 position and Michael Conti just behind in third. Mitchell Hunt from 27th up to 4th position as they run right now. Alan Bowes just behind him, looking to get a second consecutive solid finish. He's in P5. Biggest mover on the night outright, Nick Ottinger, up 30 positions in the number 6 spot right now. Dylan Duval, winner from a couple of weeks ago, going to lose 7th to the 51 of Tyler Laughlin, so move the 51 up 1, drop the 42 down to P8. Cody Bias behind in 9th with Michael J. Johnson rounding out your top 10.
Now, I mean, this is something that we have seen repeatedly, Evan, when people, they have bad qualifying sessions and they end up not being able to qualify, as we're looking right now, okay, all right, I see what we're doing here. Thomas Davis, okay, he's the one that's in 11th position. We're already halfway through the race. as well, Nicholas Johnson's going to go along as outside. This is going to be a little difficult to keep track of this due to the people going on and off of tires. As Johnson, he's on newer tires than Davis, but either way, Johnson's going to be 11th position. Davis is going to be in 12th position. Alfala, he's already been up 4 positions from his from being back in 16th. He's actually going alongside Thomas Davis himself now, with Dylan C. Jones and Logan Clampett, 14th and 15th. Rattler will be in 16th. He's on an island all by himself. Davies is also on an island in the 17th position, with Edson and Blackford in 18th and 19th. And then Timmy Hill, recovering from that spin he had earlier, he's in 20th.
And actually, Timmy Hill's going the wrong way instead of recovering. Jake Sturgis just took that 20th place position. Timmy Hill fell one more. PJ Sturgis is now up one more spot. He'll move to position at number 21 with Timmy Hill in 22. 23rd is Chris Overland. Justin Bolton back in 24th. 25th is Andrew Fayash III. We're side by side for the next spot. It's Corey Vincent and Kenny Humpy. There's 2 drivers that we're used to calling their names within the top 10 rather than outside the top 25. Humpy 26th. Now Kevin King going to move in to 27th with the 10, moving back to 28th. 29th is Byron Daly, and completing your top 30 is the 28 car of Casey Tucker.
You'll look 20 seconds back to get to P31. It's occupied right now by the 82 of Alex Warren. Robin Williams behind in 32nd. 33rd is Ryan Borges. Tyler Hill is 34th. And Ryan Lowe, the last driver on the lead lap, still about 7 seconds in front of your race leaders when it comes to getting lapped, is 35th and the final driver on track right now. Only a handful of drivers off of the lead lap. P36 and 1 lap down, Josh Berry. Pretty significant damage on that Peak Chevrolet, hoping for a yellow to get the lucky dog position, get back in this one. 2 laps down in 37th spot is the 02 of Blake Bryant. 4 laps down in 38th position is Adam Gilliland, and that's a look top to bottom at your iRacing Midway race break. So nobody so far has gone behind the fence tonight from the Michigan International Speedway. That was a look at your iRacing Midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com and sign up today. Make sure if you're signing up to use the promo code PR-RaceSpot NASCAR, and you can get a 3-month iRacing subscription for the price of 1 at just $5. That's valid on a new iRacing membership only. Again, that's promo code PR-RaceSpot NASCAR. 3 months for the price of 1. If you've been looking for an excuse to sign up, now's the time to do it, especially with a lot of exciting content coming to the sim in the coming weeks and coming months. So we take a look back trackside. 66 laps complete for the guys at the back, and 70 laps going to be complete for your race leader, Taylor Hurst, this time around. Really close it in on the home stretch in this one again. Very quickly went from having a race that had a 10-lap, 12-lap green flag stint, a yellow here and a yellow there. Next thing we know, we're past the halfway point and could be talking about the final trip down pit road.
Now, well, we're closing in on lap 70, going to lap 71 of this 125-lap race. And, yeah, people start getting their way in. They could weasel their way into that final pit stop. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a couple of people making 2 pit stops, though, on their way to the finish, as Terry was saying, Tim Terry was saying. Earlier, as we do have cars on pit road right now. Tyler Law and Alan Bowes are on the pit lane right now. I believe we saw them come in early last time, too. So they might actually have looked at the lap counter and went, hey, well, we can make it now. And we saw Evan what Ray Alfala was able to do. He was able to hold on to his lead for quite a while, but once he did come down pit road, he dropped probably maybe 14, 15 positions from where he was, or he would have been if he just came down pit road when everyone else did. So this might be a huge gamble here, or they might be just getting another pit stop out of the way on their way towards the next pit stop.
We could also be seeing varying pit strategy, because with Alan Bowes coming down pit road again, he came down about 5 laps before we saw Fala. I think the last time around it cycled him to the race lead in this one. With those drivers coming down pit road at this point in the race, Alan Bowes falls to 34th position and 1 lap down. He's the first driver 1 lap down after making that move pit side. He came in from the number 5 position. With him making that move at lap number 70, still leaving him with roughly 45 laps to go in this race. There's still plenty of time to go. Actually, you look at the number, still 55 laps to go for him. I don't see him, Tim, going to the end in this one. So I think you definitely have to think, if you see somebody come down pit road, at this point, maybe for the next 10, 15 laps, you have to think that they're going to be coming down pit road at least one more time, which would mean they're going for a 3-stop strategy if we can continue to go green from when we went back green flag racing at about lap number 24 through to the race. They're looking at 3 stops. But if you look at somebody like a Ray Alfala, if he goes the same amount of distance as he did last time on this run, that should bridge him to about lap number 88, and that would be more than able to get him to the end if he hits that number every single time. So what we could be seeing is a 3-stop versus a 2-stop.
Could very well be seeing that play out, especially with those drivers that pit it late, as you mentioned, compared to guys like Dylan Duval, Thomas Davis, and a few others that did decide to come in early. Speaking about coming in early, Mitchell Hunt has already been on pit road. The 71 car is down and away. He'll surrender a top 15 spot to head down to pit road to get this round of pit stops kicked off, albeit it might be just a wee bit early for the 71, but we'll see what happens as we go along in the next 15 laps or so. But I believe you're right. I think there's going to be at least somebody that tries a 2-stop strategy compared to a 3. We'll see if Taylor Hurst peels down pit road this time by, because it looks like he may be ready to head down for his pit stop. 74 car slowing through 3 and 4, and indeed 74 year leader will head down into pit road as we complete lap number 75. And Tyler Hudson, what an entry for the 01. He's right up to the back bumper of Taylor Hurst as they come down.
All over him. That gap got closed into a car length at the line. They get down to pit road speed and get down into the box, and they try to get back out. Pit road speed here, 55 miles an hour, to the higher extent of what we see at a couple of the tracks that we go to over the course of the year. No doubt that with this being a long and complete green flag run, the call, I think, for everybody, unless you have an issue or you make a mistake, going to be for Goodyear Eagles and back out onto the racetrack. They come down pit road right at lap number 75, and it makes it 50 laps to go. And if we can get what we've done so far, which is 51 laps off of the last time we were slowed down, you could make it to the end of this race. So if they pit right in the middle of it, it looks like a 3-stop strategy. Ray Alfala, I think, could be the determining factor, as if anybody's going for 2-stop, he's leading that charge. He'd have to get, again, I think at least lap number 88 or so to put himself in a situation to do that, and he's 11 laps away from that point. If he can't stretch it, I think the guys who have committed fully, it looks like, to a 3-stop strategy would be in the best spot. But now with those guys who made the strategy call to go to the race lead trickling back down pit road, Ray Alfala is driving back up to the race lead. Michael Conti assumed it. He almost got into the outside fence that last time, but a quarter number 4. But here comes the 2 Ford again, fresher tires, maybe a different pit strategy to the back bumper on the 5. It's a battle for the race lead at lap number 78, and Alfala with a big advantage. He'll sweep to the inside this time, but at turn number 2, shouldn't have an issue clearing him down the backstretch to turn 3.
No, going down the backstretch, the number 2 Ford will easily take that position away from the Chevy of Michael Conti. But I have to say, as that was going on, Tyler Lawton just drove right between the two, and he was gone, done and dusted, just like that, as he got his lap back, as we can just see once again here, the brand new tires coming into play. But Alfala, he'll take the lead once again. We'll see what he can do with it here. If he can time this right, compared to what everyone else is doing or pitting, he might be able to get the undercut on everybody and last the longest towards the end of the race. And that is, of course, if everything goes green. If he stays where he stays and there's a caution, then obviously that will change everything. But for right now, if he stays on this strategy, it almost, I would think, is a little bit risky, because the closest car that has been into the pits more times than Ray Alfala, hasn't been, it'll be all the way back to Taylor Hurst. He's in 27th right now, but Taylor Hurst is running lap times significantly faster, Evan, than Ray Alfala is.
Yeah, Alfala, again, spearheading this charge for what could be a 2-stop strategy. The next closest driver that appears to be agreeing with him on what the call may be to win this race, Nicholas Johnson, who was last down pit road at lap number 55, is 4.5 seconds behind him and third on the racetrack. Michael Conti, interestingly enough, for the number 5 Chevrolet, a driver who appeared to be on the 3-stop strategy, and a caution flag in the middle of it all. going to throw it out the window as Ray Alfala, this time by, collects 45 laps to go, issues with the 42.
Yeah, it's the 42 car off of corner number 2, and it's all by himself, I do believe. He got way high going into corner number 1. Might have thrown off his entry a little bit, Evan. Slid that thing through corners number 1 and 2, and finally lost control of it on the exit of corner number 2. Tough break for the 42 with Duval. He was their most recent winner on an oval at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He'll collect it. Caution flag will fly, and it'll change some strategies here for sure. Looking down the list, I believe everybody on the lead lap is probably going to come on to pit road. You look back at the 74, Taylor Hurst, he might be the first one that does not come down, but he might decide to get on the same strategy as everybody else. Excited to see what happens here.
Yeah, we said last time we saw some cycle to pit strategy was in the opening 25 laps of this race, and at that point, we saw drivers stay out, take no tires. We saw drivers come down, take 4 tires. The 4-tire call appeared to be the best call at that point. So at this juncture in the race, right at 45 laps to go, I would expect you want tires, and maybe a lot of guys just have to take the loss on their strategy call because what had them in the race lead 10-15 laps ago, and if a caution came out then, it would have worked beautifully for them. Sometimes the stars don't align for you. Caution comes out when it did. You're back in the pack. We'll see, though. Race leaders, no doubt, going to come down pit road. Ray Alfala leads amid. Michael Conti, Nicholas Johnson, Jake Sturgis, and Brad Davies, top 5.
And the cars are coming in right now. Alfala will slide into his pits. No problems there for the Alfala Tech Ford. He starts getting his service. He'll be taking 4 most likely. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure everyone's taking 4. Of course everyone's going to be taking 4. I don't think anyone's going to risk it and take 2 as the field starts coming their way towards pit exit. Ray Alfala is just able to snake it away. I mean, there wasn't a bumper between Ray Alfala and Michael Conti. Conti was right there. Nicholas Johnson, Jake Sturgios, and Dylan C. Jones following behind as they'll work their way towards behind the running field.
They were 4 wide, I think, for that top spot. Coming off of the pit lane, Alfala leads through Conti, Johnston, Sturgis, and Dylan Jones. Inside of the top 5 on the racetrack, you got a handful of drivers who stay out for the time being. Most of them are wave buys. Michael J. Johnson staying out. You got Blake Bryant, Josh Berry, Byron Daly, Adam Gilliland, also Ryan Lowe. Those are all drivers from laps down. Taylor Hurst, though, in the number 74 Chevrolet, stays out this time by. He's accompanied by the 71 to Mitchell Hunt. That's a lap machine as well. So the 74 may just be crazy enough to try it. We'll see how this works out for him, and maybe if he decides to come down pit road. But I think at this point, you got to sleep in the bed that you made. Coming down pit road would kick you way back outside the top 25. Maybe Taylor Hurst can hope for a shorter 5 to 10 lap run and then back down for service, or maybe this is all according to plan, but the 74 appears to be the only driver on the lead lap to stay out.
We think back to Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago, Evan, where we had a late caution and we had caution on top of caution on top of caution, but we have so many laps to go now. I don't think Taylor Hurst was thinking that. He might be thinking some sort of different strategy, but with everybody else coming down onto pit road except for those drivers trying to get the wave around in front of him, I have to see how this works out for the 74. Keep in mind, the 74 has been one of the fastest cars all night long, along with the 2 of Ray Alfala. The 36 was quick earlier, Justin Bolton, and it looks like Bolton the last time by was scored in 12th, so maybe he has a little better track position to try to make his way towards the front of the field. But these opening laps on this restart are going to be the telling tale. We saw 3 or 4 cars on the last restart, back about lap 25 on this race, get out, get single file, and log laps. Everybody else between 8th on back was 2 and 3 wide, battling and jockeying for position. Interested to see how these first couple laps on this restart play out. Who makes the biggest move, who drops the biggest, and who ends up out in front. Ray Alfala is trying to lead the most laps here this evening to lock up that extra bonus point. PJ Sturgis sitting in 9th.
And we did say at the top of the broadcast that a very wide racetrack and a line that, as it gets more rubber to ensure, has become more well-defined over the course of the night. If you've been looking, you can see as rubber gets put down as part of the iRacing dynamic track surfaces that line does get rubbered in. You can see where more of the cars have been running as opposed to other places, but there is room for interpretation especially when you're not up to full speed. Down through 1 and 2 for the first time, down through 3 and 4 for the first time, off of a restart is where things can get fun. And again, that width of the racetrack allows them to really fan out, and they have absolutely utilized so far to this point. We will have to see if they do it once again. It'll be a restart with 41 laps to go from Michigan. It's a lesser amount of time than the green flag stint that we just finished. Something tells me, though, Cam, that it might not be as clean and green as that last one, because now you get to the point where you get a caution flag late in this race, and the age-old saying goes, cautions breed cautions. This could be very well the home run to the end of this one.
Well, it definitely could be. I'm a little concerned because the last time that we had a caution, the time before this time, we had a caution immediately following that caution. And then we were finally able to get underway as they're going down the backstretch. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes out on that middle pack where people might have been taking different tire strategies. We will see, Evan, just who is on the attack and just who's ready to jump the gun as they go into 3.
Make sure you're staying active in the conversation tonight and keep using the hashtag NPass and the hashtag iRacingWCS, and let us know how you think these final 41 laps of action are going to shake out here from Michigan International Speedway. Taylor Hurst, Ray Alfalla, Michael Conti, Nicholas Johnson, and Jake Sturgis are your new top 5. 84 laps complete as the pace car ducks down and away. The number 74 Chevrolet going to hold them back to the exit of the restart box. American Ethanol, green flag. We're back underway.
I think it was a smart move for Taylor Hurst to do that and try to throw everybody off behind him. The 2 and the 90 looks like they're going to take second and third. The 90 going to try to get down here in front of the 5. He will do so. Conti will battle side by side with the 03 of Dylan Jones. Great run for him through this green flag stint and back on this restart. That 03 car might be the surprise so far throughout this evening as we work lap number 85, and he is looking for position number 4 on the outside of the former NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion Michael Conti. He'll fall back in behind as Conti goes to work on the 90 out of 4.
It'll make it a door-to-door battle for third on track top 2, trying to scoot away with this one. Hurst in front of Alfalla, the drivers who started 1-2. On 2-1 right now with Taylor Hurst leading your pole sitter Ray Alfalla, but 1.5 car lengths separate them. That 5 of Michael Conti going to win the battle with that 90 of Johnson off of turn number 2. He is clear. Move the Peak Chevrolet up to third. Dylan Jones did look to the inside on that 90 machine. Didn't quite commit to a move that time. We're single file inside of the top 9 side by side for now that 9th position. Logan Clampett on the outside and the 41 on the attack to the bottom. That's Jake Sturgis.
Jake Sturgis, he's been having a fairly decent run today. He started in 23rd. He's up to 7th right now. Right behind him is his brother PJ Sturgis, who is just about to get absolutely swallowed up right now. Much later on the brakes is Andrew Fayesh and Chris Overland. They were able to catch right up to the rear end of that INX racing car, but obviously they have to give that back. As they hit the backstretch, they're going to be hitting speeds over 200 miles an hour. 205 was going the number 57 car into 3 and 4. We'll see what PJ can do here. He's got a bit of a road in front of him. He's got Logan Clampett in front of him. Justin Bolton is in front of him. Nicholas Johnson, and then, of course, you've got your front-running cars. So he has got quite a league of cars that he is going to have to work his way around if he wants to catch up to that number 2 Alfalla Tech Ford, which he certainly has the time to do right now, Evan, but he certainly can't waste any of that time, or else he might risk losing the opportunity to make those moves to the front.
Yeah, whether you think this is going to go green to the end or if you're expecting a yellow to come, you need to get every single spot you can on the restarts. And that's obviously the case everywhere, but there's very few tracks that offer the space that Michigan does that lets you get a little bit creative and try it. We got 3 cars all on top of each other. Brad Davies, Justin Bolton, Logan Clampett, a 3-way battle for the number 6 spot. The 36 looks to the inside down to turn number 1, holds that preferred groove. In fact, the 44 going to go top side, caution to flag out, though problems behind, and I think slow at the start finish line is the number 4, trying to see if it is issues with Timmy Hill.
Yeah, it's Timmy Hill coming out of corner number 4. He and the 42 getting into it. Dylan Duvall getting a little rear end contact with Timmy Hill to send him around on the front straightaway to draw the caution flag. It hasn't gone Timmy Hill's way so far this evening as he gets it righted again, and I'm sure he'll come down to pit road to get some adjustments and repairs to that race car, currently scored 34th.
We know that the 42's had some handling issues here tonight. We saw him try to step it up the hill in turn 1, unable to hang on it. This time, the 4 machine was on his outside, and it does send Timmy Hill around. Again, though, another accident where really just one car goes around. There's no big junk, and everybody continues to run out on the racetrack. So we do slow things down a lap number 90. 38, though, of all the 38 drivers that took the green flag tonight are still on the racetrack, 34 of which scored on the lead lap. They'll all catch up to Taylor Hurst, who trails the pace car down the back.
Now we will see here once again. This is about the same time that we had with everyone coming into the pits. The first time we had this double caution, we only saw a couple of people come into the pits. So Evan, we'll see here. Will we have another split where people who are on new enough tires, and then people who come in and decide they want to get 4 fresh tires even after a couple of laps?
The race has shown us so far you want tires. Are we late enough, though, to sacrifice that for track position? The common consensus is no. Drivers are down pit side. A short enough run, though, that we could see somebody pull the 2-tire call out of the hat, but right now Taylor Hurst brings them all down.
Yeah, and they are all coming down pit road. The only guys that are staying out are Mitchell Hunt, Josh Berry, and some guys that are 1 lap down to try to get the wave around to get back on the lead lap. Taylor Hurst in front of the field along with Ray Alfala. They are going to go with at least 2 right side tires. We'll see if anybody behind them decides to go with a 2-tire stop, but it's going to be Alfala and it's going to be Hurst with 4 tires. Clampett is the first off pit road. It's going to be Hurst in second, Alfala in third. I would have to believe that Clampett did the exact same thing he did earlier in the race and took 2 tires.
It is going to be, for the second time tonight, the 2-tire call for Logan Clampett. He'll take over the race lead here at Michigan International Speedway at lap number 91, 125. We pace behind the pace car. We'll take this opportunity to step aside for a brief moment. Still more to come from the Michigan International Speedway. You're watching the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing on RaceSpot TV. We're back live from Brooklyn, Michigan, and the Michigan International Speedway as RaceSpot TV's continuing coverage of the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, continues here tonight for the 13th round on this 2016 championship. 12 races come and gone, and we're not that far from putting 13 behind us and looking forward to just 3 races to go in this battle for the championship. Lights go out topside on the pace car. We get set for a late race restart. Happy to have you back topside with us. Evan Pizzoco, Cam Walsh, Tim Terry alongside with you. Logan Clampett, your race leader, goes with the 2-tire call to take over the race lead in this one, Cam, and it is 4 tires for everybody else. Hurst, Alfala, Conti, Jones, the top 5.
And going beyond that, top 5 going in all the way through top 10. Well, you've got PJ Sturgis. He's going to be starting in 10th. Andrew Fash not that far behind. And, well, you've got quite a other big names. But the big name is, well, Ray Alfala. He's in 3rd. PJ Sturgis, he's in 10th. Not that many laps between the two. And when, Evan, is Logan Clampett going to go? We saw Taylor Hurst when he went green. We'll see what Logan Clampett, that number 44, does this time by.
We've seen people go right at the drop of the pace car, and we've seen people, a.k.a. that 74 Taylor Hurst, hold them way back. The 44, his best shot to get out in front, get clear. He has to do it on the restart. Pace car down and away. 93 laps complete for Michigan American Ethanol. Green flag back in the air. A good jump for him, more importantly, as they battle for second behind him. Ray Alfala, good jump for the inside lane. He goes side by side with the 74 to turn number 1, and the Alfala Tech 4 wins that battle.
Yeah, Hirsch was a little slow to the draw on that restart. He's going to fall to at least position number 3. And look at Dylan C. Jones once again. He's hot on the restart to the inside of the 5 of Michael Conti. He even took a look as the caution flag flies once again. 1 lap after this restart.
Back at the pack, 71 machine involved in this one. We slow him down once again. Mitchell Hunt already going to bring that car pit side with the quick toe issues out of turn number 2. The number 9 machine out of shape. If you remember earlier on in this race, we saw issues that involved the number 9 at Tyler Hill. Gets a little bit out of shape, and I think the 11 machine of Mitchell Hunt that far back, wanting to obviously make the pass for position as opposed to just check up. Tried to kind of step up, split the gap. Issue wasn't really clear. The 4 car was there, and he drives Timmy Hill into the fence. Big contact for that 4 Ford, and for the first time tonight, we see guys behind the initial contact get caught up in it. Josh Berry's bad night goes downhill even more as he was collected.
Well, and the day just keeps getting worse for Timmy Hill. He was also involved in that one. And I actually think his day's pretty much done at this point. This is really the first wreck that we have seen, Evan. We've had a couple of cars spinning out and making some touches and some contacts, but for this one, this is Timmy Hill on that number 4. And to, frankly, a bit of a miserable night, and Mitchell Hunt as well, with Josh Berry. Well, that car's a little bit torn up as well. So we'll just see here now. Once again, we have to pose a question. Is anyone going to come down pit road? I'm not quite sure if we're going to have any takers, seeing as there is really nothing done as far as tires go, and I think everyone's got fuel to the finish at this point. So, well, I think we'll just re-rack them and let them loose again, Evan.
Yeah, not enough on that green flag stint, which really just let your race leaders get down to turn number 3 to tempt them enough into trying something. Now, with 30 laps to go the last time around, that's about the number that a lot of people were hitting at the longer end of their green flag stints. The yellow flag's going to make things nice and smooth, and you're not going to have an issue with fuel. But if we get maybe a 15-lap green flag run and cut that gap in half, get to lap 110, then get a caution, you might tempt people. But if you're getting an extremely short run like that, track position at this point, I think, is starting to take priority to tires.
And I mentioned it a little bit earlier as well, and I'll mention it again. Dylan Duval at Indianapolis. We've seen it a couple of times this season where we have these late race cautions that will get 2 or 3 laps, and a caution flag comes out. Then we'll get 5 or 6 laps. Caution flag comes out. We got 3/4 of a lap right there, and the caution flag comes out. Is it a win situation for Logan Clampett? Is it something that's going to let him win this race? With Ray Alfala, Taylor Hurst, and a couple of others running so strong, Justin Bolton back in position number 7. This might not win him the race, but it's going to put him in a position that's probably going to get him a top 10 finish if he can keep the car underneath him for the remaining laps of this race. That's if we do get a rash of caution flags to finish this one, Evan. We could see Ray Alfala, Taylor Hurst, and maybe even a guy like Michael Conti get out if we do have a green flag run to the end and battle this thing out. We've seen Taylor Hurst and the number 74. That race car is really, really good as we push on the green flag run. If we go green on this restart and we're green until lap 125, I like the 2 in the 74.
We have mentioned about the 7 races that we've seen here, and 7 different winners. Could go 8 for 8. 4 of the drivers inside of the top 5 right now have not won a race before here at the Michigan International Speedway. Ray Alfalla, the outlier in that, who runs second right now, looking to back up a win that he had right back here back in 2013. That was the year just after his second consecutive championship in 2011 and obviously 2012. So he's looking to become the first multi-time winner here at Michigan. Everybody else, though, looking to continue the streak going, hoping that we can go 8 for 8. And again, Michigan, and we made this point earlier, Cam, is not a wild card track in the aspect that Watkins Glen is. It may not be nearly as exciting as what we'll see in 2 weeks' time when we go race it from the Darlington Raceway. But still in that conversation, though, is again, while it is not an extreme wild card race, it's not a race that everybody gets in line and runs around with. And I think that the complexion of the race that we've seen here tonight is really indicative of what we have seen here in years past. Caution's a little bit unpredictable, a long green flag stretch that threw a strategy element into this race that severely, I think, shuffled up the running order. You got guys who started 20th, 24th, and 21st, running 4th, 5th, and 6th on the racetrack right now. That's why we see so many different winners here.
Well, we do, but qualifying, you would normally think would have a little bit more of an impact here. But like we've said, I mean, you look at the top 10, there's 5 cars that were from 19th back. So as the pace car lights, I believe, are going to go turn off this time by that, they do. It's just, it's interesting to see here. From what I've been surprised at, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised, is Michigan is just how much of this 2-mile oval people are actually using. We're seeing people go underneath that yellow line in the front stretch, or seeing people chase each other all the way down to the inside on the back stretch, and even on the corners, we're seeing some good 3-wide and heck, even 4-wide action. So it'll be if they were doing that stuff on lap 20 and 30 and 40, I can only imagine what we're going to be doing on 100, 110, and 120. So it should be a good one.
Indeed it is. The lights go back out on top of the pace car, so we'll try it again. 98 laps going to go by this time around, and it'll still leave us with 27 laps to go. A lot went on in the opening 27 laps of this race, in which we saw a handful of caution flags, a couple of different cycles of pit strategy as well, all leading up to the lap 24 restart where we went green flag racing for nearly 60 laps of this race. Therefore, a lot can still and probably will happen in the closing 27 laps of this one here from Michigan. 2 to go until we get to lap number 100 tonight in the Michigan 250. Clampett, Alfalla, Hurst, Conti, and Jones, the drivers who are inside of the top 5. No major changes up there after that most recent restart. Didn't get these guys that far. Alfalla, biggest note, he goes to the outside of the front row. It'll drop Hurst down from that position to the inside of row number 2. They exchange 2nd and 3rd off of the last restart. 44, good move, mixes it up comparing to last time on the drop of the dime. Logan Clampett out and away, green flag back in the air. No challenge for 2nd this time, though. Another slow start by the 74 of Taylor Hurst leaves him trying to hang on to 3rd, as Michael Conti, the one challenging topside from 5th.
Alfalla had a pretty good restart that time, as you mentioned. He moves to position number 2. The 5 and the 74 will go at it side by side with Taylor Hurst to the inside of the 5 of Michael Conti. He falls back into line behind the peak number 5. And Dylan Jones continuing his great run in position number 5. First side-by-side battle. Justin Bolton is on the move. He's got Nick Johnston to the outside. The 57 of PJ Sturgis sucks up tight to this battle as they come off corner number 4. The 90 will cross the 36 over, and they'll still be side-by-side as we come across the stripe.
It was a nice move to cross him over. He'll have the bottom down to turn number 1, and the advantage from being on the bottom is you can almost take the preferred lane away. The 36 can't go into the middle and force the 90 down low. Johnston preferred lane in, easily makes the pass, and you see that 36 adjusted Bolton to drop back in line, get in behind him. Remember, though, that 57 to PJ Sturgis entered tonight back in the number 1 position in the championship. Right now, set to lose that spot as Ray Alfalla in the number 2 machine tries to challenge for the race lead on Logan Clampett. All over the back bumper at a turn number 4. A good battle behind them as well on for 4th position as that 5 of Michael Conti tries to hold off a scrappy Dylan Jones.
It looks like he might be even trying to do something on the outside line, Dylan C. Jones, but that's just not going to be in the cards this time by lap 101. 5 cars behind Ray Alfala is PJ Sturgis, as he is looking in his number 57. He's trying to lock in on Justin Bolton, seeing what he can do. They're running side by side, Brad Davies and Chris Overland, as we're looking back to lead Logan Clampett. Well, unsurprisingly, and as kind of we thought, those 2 tires not doing that much for him. Ray Alfala, now that he's up to speed, the tires are warmed up, Evan. He's going to start working on the inside. He's gone past Taylor Hurst. He's going to start working on the inside. And, well, I think 2 tires just might not have been the right call.
He made 2-tire call earlier on in this one, and it really wasn't spectacular. He made a move to get himself track position. It worked out for him. He got a couple of laps led, but the 4 tires, and I think a car that has just been quicker over the course of the night. You're looking at a Ray Alfala who qualified first, and a Logan Clampett who qualified in 19th position. Those numbers would tell you that the 2 is faster, and Ray Alfala, who has shown that he's had a better car, if you go those guys head-to-head over the course of the night, easily makes that pass. The 2 left-side tires to his advantage most certainly helped, and Logan Clampett going to go right back to the number 3 position. Taylor Hurst follows that 2 through, up into the number 2 position inside of 25 laps to go. Alfala and Hurst have seen a lot of each other tonight.
And did you see that 74 when they made that pass for the lead? He took a look to the inside for a moment on Ray Alfala and Logan Clampett, thought about making it 3 wide, pulled his foot out of it. Maybe he's thinking, I'm going to have another shot at that too. Maybe there's a little bit of confidence there from the 74. Keep in mind, if history repeats itself, we've had 7 races here. We've had 7 different winners. Taylor Hurst trying to become an 8th. Caution flag is back on the speedway as we start lap 104.
Just shy of 20 laps to go. They took 21 left on the board the last time around, and more issues for the 42. Dylan Duval, 3rd time on the night. He's going to find issues. This time it's going to be at a turn number 4, and he had a little bit of assistance on this one. We take a second look in a single file line, and everybody not necessarily running their hardest when you're bumper to bumper like that. You normally get off of the gas a little bit sooner. You don't necessarily hop on the brakes, Cam, but you get out of the gas a little bit quicker so you don't run into the guy in front of you. I think that may have been what the 42 did. The memo was not successfully passed back to Ryan Borges, who clips him in the left rear quarter panel. A good job and a good effort by Dylan Duval. He slid it a long time through 3 and 4, eventually lost the handle on it, went around a single car accident, brings out a yellow at lap 104.
Well, this is the 2nd or maybe even the 3rd time that Duval has had to try to control a beast like that, trying to go through the corners. He almost got it that time, but didn't end up coming through. And everybody is coming into the pit lane right now, Evan. Every single car is coming in, and actually I think we almost might have had a bump between Dylan C. Jones and Logan Clampett, but they got through clean. So the only car that I don't see coming down pit road as it stands is Adam Gilliland, who of course had that issue of finding his pit stall twice, no less. And I believe a couple of cars have actually had to back up. Tyler Lawton, he had to back up as we're working through the pit lane here, Evan. Everyone else seems to be getting a fairly clean pit stop.
Yeah, Alfala into the top one. He'll go with 4 tires again, and I said that if you split the run in half, you could see something like this. And it looks like we're abundant with strategy. How about the 77 of Andrew Fayash III? He'll come out with 2 tires just behind the 11 Chevrolet of Brad Davies, who also is going to go with just right side tires only on this stop. And you're going to have 2 drivers with just 2 tires making up the front row. Davies from 9th on the grid, Fayash from 15th. 2 drivers that we really haven't talked a whole lot about, Tim, are in a position inside of 20 laps to go to, if not hang on and win this race, still get a top 5 or a top 10 result. We'll have to find out how good that call is.
Davies has had a top 10 night so far. He started in position number 9, has been hanging around the top 10, top 15 most of the night, but as you mentioned, really hasn't made that charge towards the top 5. But keep in mind, we're in the 20 lap to go window. Maybe the 11 and maybe the 77 are thinking that this race is going to have a rash of cautions at the end of it. If I can get out and I can get a couple of good restarts out of this thing, if not a top 5, if not a win, maybe a top 5 finish out of this, going to put you a little bit further ahead than where you were. But Ray Alfala has been mighty quick, and with 4 tires, going to be hard to top him, the 74. But the wild card in this, Evan, might very well now be the 44 of Logan Clampett. He now has 4 tires. He did have a couple of pit stops where he had 2 tire stops. and he fell back. Now he gets the 2 tires, gets the track position, and now he sits second of those drivers that did take 4 tires. This might very well play out into Logan Clampett's favor. First time we've seen him up here with the 2 in the 74 on even keel with those drivers.
Yeah, the 44 machine talking about his strategy call. This could very well work out for him. A lot of drivers, Cam, really don't like the way that these races go down when you get to the 30 or 25 lap to go marker. You get a bunch of yellows, you get a couple of pit stops here and there, and a flip of the coin determines the winning strategy in a race. And you know, you look at somebody like a Ray Alfala, somebody like a Taylor Hurst, who I think have had the 2 best cars on the night and should finish 1-2 if all is right in the world. Maybe shut off at the top 3. Who knows what's going to happen? Brad Davies, Andrew Fayash, I think, have a tall order if they're going to hold them off for 20 laps. But it is a very common occurrence, and I think every single person in the field at some point in their iRacing career has done this strategy, where you make the call 2 tires is just to give them some sort of a fighting chance. You see people do this also sometimes with no tires, although I would recommend against that a little bit more. But basically what they want to do is they are just looking for track position inside of 20 laps to go, and a caution flag cycle takes about 5 laps to complete. If you get 2, 3 quick cautions, this race is done. That could be very well what those guys are banking on happening.
Well, and what we've seen from whatever incidents that we've had, most of the time it's been a single car incident, or it's been 1 versus 1 sending someone into the wall. So we haven't really seen a big incident as the lights go out on the pace car. I have to say, of course, it's not just getting late in the race, it's getting late in the season. A lot of people are already getting sorted out and where they're probably going to be finishing. Why not take the gamble? Why not take 2 tires like Andrew Fayash and Brad Davies? These guys have been good at running all season long. Fayash, he's been having bad qualifying all season long. Why not have a good finish for once? And you know what? I applaud the effort here. I'm not sure that they're going to come away with the wins or anything, but you never know, of course, as anything can happen.
The lights go back out on the pace car. We get set to dance again. Could this one be the final one on the night? We'll extinguish 107 laps of competition here tonight from Michigan. It will take a restart just inside of what will be 18 laps to go the next time around. Davies and Fayash, the 2 tire calls. Going to put the 11 Chevrolet and the 77 inside, outside of row number 1. Positions 1 and 2, it's 4 tires for everybody. 3rd on back through 35th position. Still running this race with a significant amount of drivers on the lead lap and battling for positions top to bottom. Alfala 3rd, Clampett 4th, Taylor Hurst in 5th. Watch the restart by the 11 be key in determining just how good a run goes to the guys maybe back on row number 2. The pace car down and away. We'll take 18 laps to go from Michigan, and Davies off and away. We're back underway. At a good jump by him. He'll leave Andrew Fayash to the wolves down to turn number 1.
Taylor Hurst tried to go on Ray Alfala. They did not go, and Hurst is going to lose 5 positions down into corner number 1. He's back behind Conti, Alan Bowes as they battle up in front between the 2 and the 77. Going to be Alfala taking position number 2, and here comes Clampett. Clampett taking a peek to the inside of Andrew Fayash as they run down the back straightaway. Caution flag will fly again.
There were nose to nose for second position. I think it'll give it to the 2 Ray Alfala, which will obviously shuffle up how things look on the restart. Josh Berry and Tyler Hill. You want to talk about a couple of guys, Cam, that just cannot get a break tonight. Those 2 names definitely in that handful of drivers, and they're both caught up in this accident. That was really of no fault of their own. Issues way up in front of them. It looks like the 28 machine of Casey Tucker, sideways at a turn number 2. Looked like it was all by himself. Just lost the handle off of the corner, spun it around, came back up into the racetrack, and there was nowhere for that 88 to go. Berry takes a hit, collecting a 9.
Yeah, Casey Tucker, who had taken 4 tires in his last pit stop, it looked like he just started to get away. I mean, Nick Ottinger was in a kind of an almost awkward position as far as the aerodynamics go. I don't know if maybe that had something to do with it, but he tried to ring the car around. Casey Tucker on his own really didn't hit anybody per se until Josh Berry arrived on the scene. Berry ended up going into Tyler Hill. And after that, I mean, I think there was a further accident up front. A couple of cars ended up spinning out as we're looking at the onboard of the car of Dylan Duval, who really has just not been lucky today. He really close call. Finally, a really close call, I have to say.
Yeah, for every driver who's had a rough night here tonight, and we've pointed out, and for those tuned in and you keep hearing the same numbers, there's also a couple of drivers who escape near catastrophe and are able to stay in this one, and they have to make the most of it. 110 laps in the works now, so we had a restart at 30 to go, one at about 25 to go, one at about 20 to go, and this one will come right at about 15 laps to go. A lot of quick and short yellow flags in this race have brought us now into this window. And again, Brad Davies up at the front of the field in a great position, Tim, because Fayash, he'll drop to third on this restart, and I think from the inside of row 2, well, it's a fairly good position to be in. Ray Alfala made the move for second, work from there. On the old tires, I don't see Fayash actually challenging that 2 down to turn 1. It all depends on how good of a restart Ray Alfala gets. But for the one of Brad Davies, again, getting the jump on the restart is his biggest positive. Even if he cannot stay in the lead for a whole lap of green flag, he could still get a chance of winning this race. You get 2 more yellows like what we just saw. The 11 can coast to victory lane and across the start-finish on at lap 125 at 80 miles an hour to win this race. He doesn't care how he does it. He just wants to get the job done. And every single passing lap under yellow, it gets more and more possible.
And it's been a while since we've seen Brad Davies in victory lane in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, a veteran of this series. He's been around since pretty much day one in this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Would be great to see him back in victory lane, but he's got Ray Alfala on the outside, and Ray Alfala has had some decent restarts on the outside line on a couple of occasions when he has started P2. Andrew Fayash starting in third. The one driver that I'm going to watch here, Evan, how about Taylor Hurst? He was on the inside. He was essentially pushing Ray Alfala on that last restart. Alfala didn't go because Davies didn't go in front of him. And when Taylor Hurst put the hammer down, dropped like a stone, he's back into position number 8 on the outside. Taylor Hurst has a fast race car once we get going, but the restarts could be his undoing here this evening.
Casey Tucker all alone on the backstretch, going to come out of pit road. He, one of the drivers who has been on and off of pit road last couple of laps, as he tries to get some continued service to the Infinite Creative Solutions Ford Fusion. He's 35th position. He and Tyler Hill also with some damage. Adam Gilliland in that department as well, who's down pit road right now, coming in, getting some service, catching back up to the field to make sure that they stay on the lead lap. But again, outside of the second to most recent accident and this one, Cam, all the accidents have involved one car and one car only. A lot of the time you get most of the carnage, and mostly tracks that are much smaller than Michigan, obviously, from the guys behind who can't get around it in time. Plenty of space at this racetrack, plenty of areas for these guys to go to avoid these accidents. So we still have, out of the 38 drivers who started this race and collected the green flag, 35 of them on the lead lap. You got Josh Berry, Timmy Hill, Mitchell Hunt, the drivers off the lead lap. Only the 71 is officially retired from this race. That's great numbers.
Oh, well, it is. I mean, other than this final incident that we've had here, I mean, it's been one of those things where we've had a lot of very, very, very close racing for the amount of action that we have seen today. To only have a couple of cars really be in trouble and in the wars, or in the instance of the number 42 of Dylan Duvall to be the one that's constantly at the tail end of someone else's front bumper. I mean, it has been a fairly clean race, all things considered, especially with how hard they've been racing up front. And, well, here we go. We need to see if in the last 12 laps they can sort this thing out. And
the key for the 11 is to keep these guys guessing, and a beautiful example of that, Tim, is when Logan Clampett was out in front of the field in that Sim Racing Authority Chevrolet. One time, waited a long time, then collected the green flag almost 4 or 5 seconds after the pace car ducked down. Had a quick caution flag. He was back in control once again. The next time around, he went right away. That's going to be key here for Brad Davies to get the distance that he needs, is to not do what Ray Alfala thinks he's going to do. And he has no idea what the 2's anticipating. He's got to roll the dice and figure out what he wants to do here, because he does have a fair amount of time as that control car from when the pace car ducks down to the exit of the restart box to decide when he wants to restart this race.
And we'll see how far he hangs off the pace car. He's about 3 lengths off the pace car as they go down into corner number 3. That could be a deciding factor as well. If he hangs off the pace car dives, he could very well go, or he could stack up this field a little bit. As you mentioned, his prerogative. Ray Alfalo, though, has been decent on the outside of these restarts. He's raced Brad Davies for years. He might have to pull a page back from that history book and try to study this 11 car as we get ready to go.
Pace car get it back down for what could be the final time. 112 laps complete here from Michigan. Just 13 laps to go into Michigan 250. Brad Davies, right foot down on the gas. Green flag back in the air. And a good jump over the 2. He's got a 2-car length advantage down to turn number 1. Fayash not able to challenge for the number 2 position. Ray Alfalo is going to have a clear shot for the race lead down to 1 and 2.
And Brad Davies already starting to get reeled in by Ray Alfalo. Didn't have to worry about having anybody on in front of him as far as on the 2 tires as he was starting outside. He's already closing in. He'll look to go to the lead. Is already up behind. I see smoke developing in the back. And we are under caution once again. This plan for Brad Davies is starting to work out, Evan.
Yeah, and Alfalo is just getting the momentum to make the move to the inside for the battle for the race lead. And a caution flag comes out. Contact from back in the pack, the number 22 of Brian Blackford, in a 3-wide situation where I think the 51 on the inside, Tyler Laughlin, thought that he was going to be up and clear of the 85. And I think that Brian Blackford was anticipating the same thing, was not, had to come back down. They made contact. It moved the 22 up the hill just a little bit. Brian Blackford gets turned around, and an 93 comes spinning in there late. As you take a second look at this one, Byron Daly hit by the 32 of Ryan Borges at the back end. Second time we've seen the 32 Chevrolet get into the back of somebody down the back straightaway. It collects Byron Daly as well. He is involved, and now, as I said the last time, Tim, where that yellow transitioned us inside of 15 to go. This caution going to transition us inside of 10 to go, and this could just be going exactly as Brad Davies would hoped.
I could be wrong, but I think the last 3 restarts, we have gone 3/4 of a lap every time going into turn 3 or around turn 3 when the caution flag does come out. And that's about the time that Ray Alfalo gets that run down the back straightaway. He can see Brad Davies. Then all of a sudden, the caution flag comes out, and he has to roll out of the throttle. The 11 car got a really good jump that last time. If he can continue to do that, he might end up in victory lane. But if we go a complete lap or 2, Evan, Brad Davies is going to be a sitting duck, because Ray Alfalo in that 2, if he can get clear of the Logan Clampett, Andrew Fayash, and the rest of the field, Ray Alfalo might have something here as we get ready to stack him up again in a few laps and go back to green. But we'll have less than 10 laps to go. We might have 1. We might have 2 restarts. We'll have to see how this shakes out. But if they go more than a lap, Brad Davies is going to have to be holding on for dear life.
The likely strategy that we thought this was going to be was these guys holding on for a good finish. That's what Fayash is doing, 4th. As he gets back into rows 2 and 3 on these restarts, he's just trying to hang on to a top 10 result. We thought that that may be where Brad Davies ends up, but so far, best case scenario seems to be working out for the 11. Track position was the name of the game. He continues to hold it. Nobody down pit road this time. We take 10 laps to go. We'll take this opportunity, step aside one final time, and return to Michigan International Speedway in just a moment for what could be the final restart on the night. You're watching Michigan 250, part of the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing on RaceSpot TV and iRacingLive. Back in a moment. Still doubled up behind the pace car late here at the Michigan International Speedway inside of 10 laps to go in the Michigan 250 for round number 13 of the 2016 NASCAR Peak Entry Series powered by iRacing. Lights go off on top of the pace car. I want to give you another reminder that if you're looking to sign up for a first-time iRacing membership, to make sure to use our promo code PR-RaceSpot NASCAR when signing up, and you can get 3 months of iRacing for the price of one at just $5. That's valid on new iRacing memberships only. Plenty of content on the road and oval side of things still to come, including dirt in the near future. And if that gets you excited, there's no better time to sign up today. Again, that is PR-RaceSpot NASCAR. Still happy to have you topside with us. Evan Pasoko, Cam Walsh, Tim Terry with you. Tim, slowing things down here late, really starting to stem the momentum in this race. Brad Davies does not mind at all. The 11 may be 1 or 2 yellows away from a checkered flag.
Yeah, I believe so. We'll have to see. Brad Davies is a veteran. He knows how to get into victory lane. Ray Alfalla, though, he's got a points championship on the line. PJ Sturgis is running 11th. We've seen some crazy things happen here late. I think the crazy isn't completely done here at Michigan.
We find out. We'll do it one more time, at least inside of 10 laps to go in this race. If we get a caution inside of the final 5 laps, this race would end. Under caution flag conditions, we'll take a green flag with 8 laps to go. Still an opportunity if there is a caution flag that lends us one more restart after this, if that is so required. Pace car down and away. Brad Davies tries to hang on at least one more time. The field get a bunch up on the front row. American Ethanol, green flag. 8 laps remain from Michigan at 11 all the way to the apron as he's chased by Ray Alfalla to turn 1.
Well, he did exactly what I figured he should have done, and Ray Alfalla almost getting nicked by Andrew Fayesh, got chased all the way down the track. Alfalla had to close the door there. That has allowed Davies a little bit of a moment's reprieve as they come off of corner number 2. They are almost 4 wide out in the back of the pack, as I can see, almost 5 wide in some places, as they are actually going to make it into corner number 3 and 4 for the first time in quite a while, Evan.
Machine going to complete this lap in a number 2 position. This is where he gets the momentum, and this is where he can finally get an opportunity to use those 4 fresh tires. They are all over each other behind Logan Clamp at 4th and 5th and 6th position, all separated by just hundredths down to turn number 1 as they go side by side a couple of rows deep. O-line stay topside as Alfalla closes the gap. He's a car length off the bumper.
Caution flag is out on the speedway as Alfalla got that run down the back straightaway and was poised to make something happen on Brad Davies. Davies gets that excellently timed caution flag. I'm not sure what happened out in the back, Evan, but Brad might be counting his lucky stars again.
Yeah, last time we went green flag racing, he was getting up there to the bumper down to turn number 3. This time, if he got that good of a run that quick, he might have gotten it. But this time, 2 laps in, a caution flag comes out again, just as that 2 went to make the move for the race win. This issue starts at a turn number 2. Tyler Hill, just want to note that Iron Machine involved in what seems like the 5th accident on the night, and he was an innocent victim in this one behind. But everybody was stacked up for second. Well, they were stacked up back in the pack as well, and you're taking a second look at this one. Looks like it was the 12 of Robin Williams, Cam, who got out of shape first, and at that point, when you're 2 wide behind something like that, there's nowhere for a lot of those guys to go.
Well, and Michael J. Johnson had what ended up starting all of this. Kevin King, he got way loose. He nipped somebody up in front of him going into the corner, and he went right into the outside wall. When Kevin King went to the outside wall, Ryan Lowe ended up starting to get, it really bunched them all up, and that pushed the 39 down. 39 pushed into Robin Williams. Robin Williams then pushed right into, well, who's less to expect? Dylan Duvall. And that just stacked everybody up, and that was probably a 5-6 car incident after that one. So a couple of retirements, I think, from that one. The field getting a little bit thinner out in the back, but to say we're on lap 120, I think, well, we're going to have, what, 2-3 laps of green flag running, maybe?
It could be an unofficial green-white checker, if you will, a 2-lap to go restart. Tim, we had just noted before that restart, if there's a caution flag quick enough, you can go back green flag racing, and they were at 6 laps to go, so we should get at least a one-lap shootout, if not closer to the range, maybe 2 or 3 laps to go on the restart. Each of those scenarios obviously very different for Brad Davies. We have seen these guys in the last 25 laps go 1-2 laps without a caution flag, which if you get a 2-lap to go restart or a 1-lap to go restart, the 11 machine has had to deal with that so far tonight. But the good news is he knows that we can go green through that point. That could be good news for Ray Alfala. The bad news could be if it is 3 laps to go. We haven't seen 3 laps consecutively for the last 25 or so laps. That could be bad news for the 2 because by the numbers it would say that we would see another yellow. But again, tonight's distance 125 laps, 250 miles. We will race no further and no less than that, no overtime. So really we just sit, wait on the pace car to find out how many laps left these guys are going to have to go through. And Brad Davies, after feeling like that he's on top of the world, he's liking that strategy call now, but give a shout out to that 77 of Andrew Fayash also, because he actually gained a spot on that run and is in 3rd position right now, also on that 2-tire call to give them track position. They're looking pretty smart right now. Davies not in the clear though. He would hate to hang on to the race lead for 4 or 5 restarts and lose it on the final one. He's got to stay up on the wheel when the time comes.
Unless something catastrophic happens, I think this has to be a win for Brad Davies. Whether he wins the race or not, if he finishes in the top 5 with the way the race has gone, I think it has to be considered a win for him. And then you mentioned Andrew Fayash III, he's probably in the same boat. If we get a 1-lap restart, I like Brad Davies if he can do the exact same thing he's done in the last 3 restarts, and that's get a good jump on Ray Alfala. Makes that car a little bit wide, probably comes out with a win here. If we do see 2 laps to go, and we get to the white flag, the sim's not going to trigger that caution flag on that last lap. Brad Davies, once again, going to have to make that car very wide if he wants to win the thing. Going to have to hit all his marks. He could very well come back with a checkered flag for the first time in a couple of seasons in this series. Andrew Fayash III wants to get to victory lane. Logan Clampett, Justin Bolton. There's some drivers that haven't won in this series before. They want to get up there and get a checkered flag out of this one. And obviously, Ray Alfala, at the back of his mind, he's got to be thinking points as well, because PJ Sturgis lost more positions on that restart. He moved back to 14th place. He's on that outside line. He's in the middle of that hornet's nest. If I'm PJ Sturgis, this could be the championship hopes flashing in his eyes right now. He still has 3 races to go, but with Ray Alfala out in front, Ray Alfala poised to take the championship lead unless something catastrophic happens here. PJ Sturgis has to also be thinking damage control on this restart. How far can I fall back, or how much more can I make up to try to stop the bleeding when it comes to the championship as well? There's all kinds of things we have to look forward to here.
It's time by the start-finish line. We'll see if the lights go out on top of the pace car, and they do. We will restart to take lap number 124. It'll be a 2-lap shootout at Michigan. If you get to the white flag, it's green no matter what through the checker. If there's an accident on the opening lap off of the restart, a yellow flag would end this race at that point. To the notion of PJ Sturgis real quick, Cam, qualified 10th, was 17th in a practice, and is 14th right now. That kind of hits right in the middle of those 2 numbers. Not that I think that this is a track that he despises, but it's definitely not a track that he's excelling at here tonight, and I think that maybe the idea entirely is just try to get a good result out of this. We talked earlier on in this race, in the pre-race, talking about the championship. Coming down to these final 4 races, he was up 3 on a Ray into tonight. It's looking like the 2's going to pull away. Ray Alfala has been in this position and won in this position 2 times, a 2-time champion. PJ Sturgis has not. This restart could be crucial for him in trying to stay in that conversation.
Well, if he can pick up a couple positions over the next 2 laps, that would be very beneficial to him. But I have to say, I bet you every single restart and every single time that yellow comes out, he clenches the wheel just a little tighter and goes, oh, if only I took 2, if only I took 2, as he watches Brad Davies, who did take 2, having Ray Alfala on his outside on this, probably the final restart.
Can guarantee that this one is going to be for the final time on the night. The pace car going to duck down and away. It'll be a green-white checker from Michigan International Speedway. The old tires for Brad Davies up front. Ray Alfala trying to steal it away. The 4 tires to the outside. The 11 machine off and going. He'll duck down to the inside. 2 laps to go. Just 4 miles left.
That was a beautiful restart for Brad Davies. Davies is going to come up and go down into corner number 1 with the lead by 3 lengths on Ray Alfala. In car number 2, it's side by side behind Clampett on the outside of Andrew Fayash. Fayash washes up the racetrack a little bit. It's going to open the door for Bolton on the inside. The 36 car takes a peek on the inside. He's bringing a train with him. Meanwhile, Alfala gets a run down into corner number 3. He's going to look to the inside of Davies. Davies is going to slam the door into corner number 4. Davies looking for his first win since 2011.
The 3 wide, multiple rows deep back in a pack with the magic number in the air. 1 lap to go. They're going to race it out no matter what. And it looks like it's going to be Brad Davies and Ray Alfala, the 2 Ford, about half a car length off of the bumper of the 11 Chevrolet as they go down to turn number 1. Davies holds the lead to turn number 2. Here comes Ray Alfala with the run, and challenging from 3rd may be Logan Clampett. Final time down the backstretch. Davies protects the inside. Alfala to the bottom, going to be side by side for the race win at Michigan. Final time in 3 and 4. Better tires on the inside for Ray Alfala. The 11 just can't get the bite off of the corner, and he'll come up about 500 meters short. Ray Alfala steals it and wins from Michigan International Speedway. Career win number 19. It'll thrust him to the lead in the championship, and Brad Davies, so close but so far, hangs on for 5 of the last 6 restarts in this race. It has handed a second place result at a deficit of just 5/100ths of a second.
Well, he made a great fight back after getting past coming off of 4, but it just wasn't meant to be. I mean, you got to count your stars a little bit here. Every single restart, he managed to hold it together. He did about as good as he possibly could. And if this wasn't the final lap, if this was the second to last lap, there was a wreck going down the backstretch. But you know what? The white flag was out, and as such, they raced to the finish. And Davies ended up coming home in second position. Not a bad day at all. And for Logan Clampett, well, he started in 19th. He's going to come home in 3rd, just 100th off of the leader.
We talked about all the different things that you can do to get points over the course of the night here, Tim. Ray Alfala into tonight's 2nd in the championship for the first time in quite some time. He has the best average start in this series of a 7. He picked up his 4th pole on the year. He'll improve that statistic here tonight. He has the best average finish of any driver in the series this year of a 3. He gets his 2nd win on the year. He will improve that statistic. He gets the bonus points for leading laps. He'll go to the top of the championship, and he's back on top and gets to play defense with 3 races to go.
Yeah, PJ Sturgis going to come home with 14th place here this evening after being up in the top 5 for a little while throughout the middle portion of the race, hanging out in the top 10. And then those restarts at the end definitely killed him. He was up in the top 10 and he fell back to position number 14 as Ray Alfala celebrates. PJ Sturgis, as we mentioned before, he hasn't been here in this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series battling for a championship this late in the season. Could that be the little crack that Ray Alfala needed to expose to pick up those couple of extra points? It's going to lead now heading in to that next round at Darlington. But what an exciting race. Tough for Brad Davies. Was looking for his first win since 2011. He won 3 that season. He's going to come up, well, 52 1,000ths of a second short in position number 2.
You want to note that Edson, Sturgis, Warren, and Ottinger involved in that accident on the last lap. No caution flag, so obviously they're going to drop down in the running order as that happened on the white flag lap. All of that was going on behind the guys up at the front of the field. Ray Alfala, though, he burns it down all the way from the start-finish line back through turns 3 and 4, and parks it where he made the move to win the race here tonight, and the engine's gone on that 2 machine as he celebrates, not going to make it all the way to victory lane tonight. Let's take a look at your full race results for round number 13 for the Michigan International Speedway, with just 3 races to go following tonight in this championship. Ray Alfala gets the job done from pole position. He only led this race for maybe 7 seconds in the final 30 laps, but it's enough to get the job done. He hands Brad Davies a P2 result. A good result for the strategy call, but Davies has to sit and wonder what if this one may have just ended up with 1 less lap. 124 laps it was his. Unfortunately, wasn't able to hang on. He settles for 2nd. Logan Clampett with a great result here tonight comes home in 3rd. Justin Bolton in 4th, and Andrew Fayash to 3rd and 5th. We'll try to talk trackside with the top 5 finishers in just a little bit here. Taylor Hurst, who started 2nd, is able to come home P6. Alan Bowes with a good result in 7th. Nicholas Johnston behind him at 8th, with Tyler Hudson 9th, and Michael Conti rounding out your top 10.
Well, for Chris Overland, not necessarily the best day. Started in third, finished only 900ths behind the leader, but at the end of the day, that is only good enough for the 11th position, .966 behind. Dylan C. Jones will finish in 12th. Corey Vincent will come home in 13th position. And, well, PJ Sturgis, well, what could have been if only he had chosen the different tire strategy. He come home in 14th position. Not a great day, but you know what? He didn't pick up a DNF in those racks, and that's what you need when you're looking for a championship. David Rattler coming home in 15th. Cody Bias in 16th. Kenny Humpy, also another bad day for him. Add 10 positions to where he started, comes home in 17th. Blake Bryant will come home in 18th position. Tyler Laughlin will end up come home in 19th, and Michael J. Johnson will round out your top 20.
Some of these drivers outside the top 20 just trying to hold on at the end through multiple wrecks at the finish. Casey Tucker included, finishes in 21st. Thomas Davis 22nd after trying to parlay some pit strategy early into a good finish. Robin Williams is 23rd. Alex Warren 24th. Adam Gilliland 25th. Brian Blackford, after having such a solid qualifying effort, going to come home in 26th. Kevin King 27th. Ryan Borges, after being involved in a couple of late incidents, finishing 28th. Ryan Lowe 29th, and completing your top 30, it's the 93 of Byron Daly.
Round out in the field tonight, 31st position for Jake Sturgis, Nick Ottinger 32nd, and then as well Trey Edson 33rd. Those are the names that we noted were involved in an accident on the last lap. It drops them to the tail of the lead lap. 5 laps down, 34th position for Tyler Hill, Dylan Duvall behind in 35th, and then with Josh Berry 36th, Timmy Hill 37th, and Mitchell Hunt rounding out the field tonight in 38th position as you look top to bottom at your Peak Antifreeze Series full race results for round number 13. We step aside one final time. Want you to stick around. Still more to come tonight from the Michigan International Speedway. We'll talk with your top finishers, and we get set to dance with the Lady in Black. We'll preview Darlington coming up in a few weeks' time for round number 14. You're watching the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing on RaceSpot TV.
The 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is all about change. New teams, new drivers, new tracks, even a new logo. And oh yeah, there's a brand new car. After 5 years of competition, we say goodbye to the Williams FW31 and we say hello to the McLaren MP430. But this isn't just a brand new car, it's a whole new ballgame. And with it, we bring new excitement, new strategies, new technology. For example, energy recovery and drag reduction systems. There's a new way of thinking about racing, and for all the drivers participating, it's back to the drawing board, wiping the slate clean in the ever-consuming pursuit of perfection. One little slip-up, one wrong move on track, one poor strategy call, and it's over. That's the difference between coming up short and becoming champion and being $10,000 richer to boot. So yeah, change is in the air, but we're going to start getting answers on the 27th of February as the 7th year of iRacing World Championship competition kicks off. And you won't miss a thing, with every single race live on iRacingLive, coverage brought to you by RaceSpot TV. So join us fortnightly from 1:30 p.m. GMT.
Welcome back live to the Michigan International Speedway. A wild finish in tonight's Michigan 250 ends with Ray Alfalla coming up on top after 250 miles of action here tonight, and one final restart was enough to get the two across the line first. He picks up career win number 19. It also launches him to the top of the championship standings. Happy to have you back with us on RaceSpot TV as well as our partners at iRacingLive. We're trackside now with tonight's winner, Ray Alfalla. Ray, congratulations for you guys. Talked when we had about 30 laps to go in this race about how sometimes we get these races and they have these late race caution flags, and maybe not lucking into a win is the correct term, but somebody steals one right from under your nose. And it looked like that Brad Davies was going to steal this one right from under you guys. You guys looked very strong over the course of the night, but it almost feels like you stole it from him there. You used those last maybe 6-7 seconds to get out in front of the 11 machine after trying for, I think, 5 restarts to get the job done. What's going through your head there in those final 30 laps, not being able to get enough green flag action in to be able to try to execute a move?
Oh, man. We're going to have my cat on the car at Darlington, but it should have been there tonight, because we used all 9 lives for that one. That was, I mean, I've been part of stressful races, but that was, man, I don't remember that much of a stress-filled race in a long time, just because, we, so many times this year, I feel like we've put ourselves in position to win, and just something happens, and yeah, we're not crashing out, we're not like losing a bunch of points, but we, I've kind of made jokes about finishing second or third in every race, and pit road had always been kind of an issue this year, and this year, I mean, this race, I had great pit stops, including the final pit stop was like a sub 13-second stop. I felt like I had a car that could contend for the win, but this being Michigan, I've just crashed out of so many races here in this series that with like 30 to go, I told my teammates, yeah, I'm not really sure what to do, because I haven't been up front I haven't been at the finish in a Michigan race, I think, in a while. So, I knew we had fresher tires than Brad, and he had some damage on his car as well. So I just needed like a couple laps, and we just kept getting crashes there at the end. And luckily it went green at the end. I thought he was going to go low, and I was prepared to take it high, but I was surprised when he kind of went high, and yeah, we brought it home. But that was that's more relief than than happiness at this point.
I know that you had a lot of time late pacing for the better part of those final 30 laps, thinking about, all kinds of different scenarios and ways that could have gone down. You talk about Michigan. You got a trip to Victory Lane here back in 2013. You're the first driver now to go to Victory Lane here at Michigan twice. We were in a situation where we thought we were going to see the 8th different winner in 8 starts. What is it about this racetrack that lends the ability to see that?
I don't know. You tell me, because it's statistically like my worst track. I've improved here over the past few years. Last year I was in the top 5 and just made a really bad pit call and got crashed in the pack. So I don't know. It's pretty ironic that I have 2 wins here. The first one being a fuel mileage race. So I came into this race today knowing, everybody on Slip Angle and NX. We've had good cars all season, and I think. People don't give the drivers and the team enough credit. I think the drivers are doing a really good job at driving the cars. Everybody just kind of thinks we have the best cars out there all the time, and I know that's not the case. And so I don't know. I'm still kind of speechless. Even with the car that could win the race. I still wasn't necessarily expecting at all to win. It's not like at Indy where I go in that race, on just, knowing that I can legitimately win that race. Today I was just kind of quietly confident, but I wasn't expecting anything. I was just frustrated we couldn't get going green. Once races start kind of having those yellows back to back, I think people just lose their focus because you're under yellow for so long, and it's really difficult to get that focus back and get back in the rhythm. That's why if you can make it past 5 or 10 laps of a restart, you can go green forever, it seems. But if you have yellow after yellow, cautions breed cautions, and it's not just because the field gets grouped together. Excuse me. It's because everybody loses focus, and it's really tough to. I blew up my engine there, and I think it took my voice as well. But yeah, that was a crazy race.
So we look at the rest of this season. There's not a whole lot left to talk about, but there is. There's 3 races left to go in this championship, and tonight, big for you because not only do you do exactly what you try to do every week, and that is start up front and finish up front. You guys get the max points that you can out of this race, but not the greatest night in the world for PJ Sturgis. He just jumped in front of you into this week by 3 points after we factored in the drop 2 weeks ago. He comes home 14th, so you're going to be back on top with 3 races to go. Something that we kind of talked about in the pre-race was that you've been in this situation late into these final 4, late into these final 3 races, and have shown that you're able to, keep the pressure kind of in the back of your mind and execute. We've seen a spectacular breakout season for the 57 team, and we know that PJ Sturgis knows his way around the sim, but we haven't seen him in this exact position. Do you feel like that gives you at all any sort of an advantage with these last 3 races, or are you guys going to continue to swap this one out? You got Darlington, New Hampshire, and Homestead still to come.
I know PJ will be there. It was kind of funny before the race. We have like a spreadsheet where we put down everybody's total run time and whatnot. And PJ and I did 25 lap runs, and we were separated by 9 thousandths after the entire run. So I know he's going to be there. And the reason he was back there was because he stayed out on one of the early yellows, and it went green for a while after that, and we pitted. So we passed him and took the lead, and PJ kind of fell back, and we opened up a gap to him, and he just kind of lost that track position. And then the way the yellow split out at the end, he couldn't get it back, and I think he got shuffled back on a restart and things like that. So I know, he'll be there on speed every week, and as far as having experience, well, I've also had a huge point lead with 3 races left and not won the championship. So I don't know. I'm just, every race, people tell me, what do you do? It's just you try to go as fast as you can and try to not hit people.
I think that's a good memo for Darlington, because Darlington is another race that you can circle on the calendar as a wild card race. It's in that ever so interesting spot on the calendar, round number 14 of 16. How do you get through that one and now in a defensive position maintain that points gap that you have once again?
Well, pretty much at Darlington, if you don't hit the wall, you're probably guaranteed a top 10. It's one of my favorite tracks, and we're going to see a new build here. So we have a 3-week break and build in a couple weeks, and we're going to get the version 2 of the surface model, which means the track should rubber up more and should be more dynamic. So that'll be interesting. Last year we had the first version of the dynamic tracks when we went to Darlington, and it was really cool seeing the track rubber up for the first time. So I don't know what this change holds. But I'm looking forward to it, and but I'm also kind of just looking forward to 3 weeks off after that one. I feel like I need like 3 years off.
I know that you guys are going to enjoy the time off. We come back on the 13th of September for that race here at RaceSpot TV. Ray, before we let you go, the sponsors and shout-outs one more time. Who makes it happen for you?
Yeah, everybody on Slip Angle and NX, thanks a lot for the help. AllFollowTech.com if you're looking for a gaming computer. Thanks to Stephanie Lessentine, Brandon Wright, Kyle Putz. They're up on the box, kind of helping all the drivers and whatnot. And thanks to iRacing and RaceSpot, and we finally broke the 2nd to 3rd place streak, I guess. So we'll take 3 weeks off and come back to Darlington and try to not hit the wall too many times.
It's win number 2 on the season. It makes him now a 19-time winner in this series. Ray Alfalla, your winner tonight from Michigan. Ray, thanks as always. Stick it around and chat with us. Enjoy the time off, and we'll see you when we get back down to business again at Darlington.
Thanks. See you guys.
The winner tonight, Ray Alfala, a P2 result for Brad Davies. So close, and yet so far, maybe Tim Trackside with your second place finisher.
Thanks, man. You too.
Yeah, we caught up with Brad Davies, and it's been a while since we've done this, Brad, but second place here and almost a win to get back into victory lane in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Let's talk about this run and the run of the checkered.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Be back up in the top 5. It's been a while. Had a pretty good car. Started out the race a little too loose. It didn't. I was expecting it to tighten up, and it just got looser. So we made some adjustments and was able to run up into the top 5 there. Well, almost to the top 5. And didn't really think I had anything for the top, 2 or 3, 4 guys. But I thought I could run close to or right at a top 5, and then kind of got pushed back with some bad cautions and slow pit stops. But we were able to come up with a little bit different strategy towards the end of the race. Took 2 tires, didn't work out for the win, but definitely got a better finish than I was thinking I was going to get out of it.
Let's talk about those last 2 laps, going down the back straightaway and coming to the checkered flag. It looked like you were able to hold off Ray Alfala. Then Ray made that move going down into corner number 3 to take away the win. Would you have done anything differently in those last 2 laps?
I mean, I could have taken the low line away from him, but being on the 2 tires, I was really skittish down on the bottom, where all the rubber buildup was. That was giving me some problems down on the low line. But up, the pavement was a little bit cleaner up through 3 and 4, and I was getting better grip up there. So I thought that I could get back to the high line going into 3, and I could maybe just hold him off for 1 corner and beat him to the flag. But those 4 fresh tires were worth a lot, and he was able to really just kind of dive down on the bottom and keep it low, and was still able to get a good run off, and it wasn't really anything I could do.
You're one of a handful of drivers that has been involved in this series since day one back in 2010, finished second in the first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series back in that 2010 season. Longevity here back in 2016. Still being in this series, what does it mean?
I mean, it means a lot. It means I've been consistent. That's for one thing. May not be running up in the top 5 like I used to back in the day, but don't really have a whole lot of time to put into it anymore. But the time that I am able to put in, it's able to keep me up there and keep me, racing and being competitive with these guys. And I have a lot of fun whether I'm running, top 5 or 35th. It really doesn't matter. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a long journey. Next
up is Darlington. What can we do there?
Well, we can try to go for another win. I'm never going to stop trying, but I think there's still a little bit of work to be done in the setup department, but I think we can come back with maybe a top 10 car and maybe get lucky again and see where we end up.
Now, who do you have on this team helping you out before we let you go? Because I think I saw the name Shearburn and Prather somewhere on that list.
Yeah, Prather's been helping me. He's been doing a good job spotting. I've had a couple other issues with the website he's been helping me out with. Shearburn, he's come back from the dead. He's been determined to kind of get setups back up on par, which I've needed some help there. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of time to do that like I used to. So he's been helping a lot in that department, and I think our performance has picked up because of that. We had a good car at Chicago, got caught a lap down from a bogus black flag, and then had another good car at, I think it was Kentucky. I think I had a top 5 car there, and then got caught on a bad caution and got shoved back to 10th or 15th or something. But it looks like these 1.5 and 2 miler tracks, we're making a little bit of gains. There's still more to do, but we've got a little bit better setup under us for now.
And a great way to prove it here this evening. A little bit of pit strategy, a little bit of speed mixed in, puts Brad Davies back in the top 5 in position number 2. And Evan, I had to dig to try to figure out the last time Brad Davies was up here. Second place at Pocono back in 2014. Great to see Brad Davies back up here in the top 5.
This race was about 10 seconds away from being another trip to victory lane for Brad Davies. Nonetheless, a great result for that number 11 team. He comes home in second here tonight. Logan Clampett's number 44 in that conversation late, and who knows if the 2 and the 11 started going at it down to turn 3. He was there to pick up the pieces. It's a solid P3 result for him, and trackside with him is Cam Walsh.
Well, Mr. Logan Clampett, you started in 19th. We're here at Michigan at a very high speed. You ended up making a couple of good pit strategies where you were one of the first cars that I saw taking 2 tires. And you know what? You've come home in third. Take me through your race today.
Yeah, I was thinking, with about, I don't know how many to go it was, but I was thinking, I wonder if 2 tires would work and if people would take them, not just me, but I was wrong. But, I'm glad I led a few laps in this series, it's really cool to race up there with those guys, and I think we almost had a shot there at the win if they would have, gotten together or something, and I wish they would have, but I mean, it was just some really great strategy calls by my crew chief and spotter, Kenneth Drake. And, it's just a great feeling to be able to lead some laps and be able to get P3 with probably P15 car.
Well, and it's one of those days where you know what, we had a couple of cautions early, and that kind of set a tone. But we had that really long green flag that green flag run. What did you guys exactly have under the hood of that car? Were you expecting quite a few cautions, or did you guys plan all week long on this thing probably having a lot more green?
No, I actually, within, I think 4 laps to spare on fuel, we were like, okay, we're going to come in this time. And we didn't take, a full tank. Well, I think we took about 16 gallons or something. And we were going to do, I think, 35 lap runs. But, I there were cautions, which we got really lucky on. I'm actually glad there were cautions, obviously.
Well, you and a couple of other people, I can imagine that were on 2 tires. You ended up taking 4 for your last stop, and I think that obviously was the better one to take. But you know what? I know the rest of the schedule might need 4 tires, but where we're going in a couple of weeks' time, you never know if you're going to bring out that 2 tire strategy, right?
Yeah, I mean, you never know since it's pretty difficult to pass there, but if you can get me a winning car at Darlington, and I could probably finish 30th. It's just a track that I don't really like all that much.
Now, it's a place you like that people like going to, not necessarily the best to actually race on for sure. But Logan, before we let you go with your third place, anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
Just a couple shout outs to HPM. They built an awesome setup for the car tonight, probably around a 15th place car, but heck, P3, and also my sponsor Sim Racing Authority on the hood tonight. I learned a lot from those guys early in the days, probably when I had like a 4,000 die rating or something, and I learned pretty quickly, and that's half the reason why, I'm here, because of that league, from Bobby Cheney and Matt Simpson.
Well, either way, I'm sure Clamp Nation is extraordinarily happy today, and we'll catch you over at the Darlington Speedway.
Thanks, Cam.
All right, so that's Logan Clampett finishing in the third position in the number 44 Chevrolet, and Evan, we'll kick it back up to you.
Yeah, he was one of many drivers who liked to throw the 2-tire call into this one. He wasn't one of the drivers who was on it late, but Andrew Fayash III falls into that category. That's the top 5 result for the number 77 machine, and we're trackside with him now. Andrew, congratulations to you guys. The 2-tire call there late, I think, had to have been banking on a couple of yellows, and you definitely got your money's worth in that regard late.
Yeah, we were definitely banking on some cautions there, but all the same, the car was honestly pretty well hooked up, even with 2. We didn't have much on the lefts, but just enough to where it was a real debate to make the call. We discussed it. I asked somebody to hop down and find out, because we're in separate channels, to find out what Rattler was doing, just to see if there were other people who were thinking about 2. And he was going to take 2, and I thought, well, then we should definitely do it, because there's going to be other people doing it for sure. And the car was awesome even with that, and looking at it, if Davies didn't take 2, I'd have been in a completely different situation and had a shot at it. So it was definitely the right call.
This good result for you guys bumps you back up into the top 10 in the championship standings. Started a mid-pack here, which I know that when we've talked to you in the past, we have seen that you guys have not really qualified the way that you like. You have an average qualifying of 29th. That is the lowest out of the drivers in the top 25 in the championship standings. For you guys, though, starting 15th position up and in the action, how'd that help tonight?
I gave up a lot of it early. I got stuck on the outside the first run of the race, and I think that's what happened to Rattler on the last run, the last long one. I faded pretty quick till we finally got in line, and then the tire wear started to come into play a little bit. But it definitely helped having not having to panic on pit road entry with an early stall and getting down to speed and keeping under control, and having time to get to your stall and all that helps too. So it definitely was a positive factor. That's the best we qualified all season by far. I'm a terrible hot lapper when it comes to qualifying, but on top of that, since this year was the first year that I was a guaranteed starter, I really have put a lot less effort into qualifying than I ever have. So just kind of as a relax from it and focus on race trim.
We look forward now, 3 races to go, and you guys have been in and around that top 10 position over the course of this season. Next stop on the year is a couple more weeks away, but we do head to Darlington. That's another track that's tricky, and it's a track that could prove difficult for some of the drivers who are expected to finish inside of the top 10 in the top 10 there. What can you guys do going into Darlington to maybe continue to climb up the ladder in this one? Do have a little bit of a gap over Tyler Hudson after this one. I think that it's a 14-point advantage to you for 10th and 11th. But you're not all that far back from names like Nick Ottinger, Corey Vincent, Alan Bowes. 9th, 8th, and 7th in the points are all within 30 points of you right now.
Yeah, I mean, going in tonight, I know we had a great setup. Jarl, Keegan, Matt, they all did great work with the setup this week, and I was really happy with it. But I really do not like this track personally. It really doesn't fit my style usually, and I had really low expectations. So to come out with 5th is just awesome. I mean, mid-race, I realized we did have a top 10 car, especially long runs. We just they just didn't play out exactly right for that, and we made the right call. But going into Darlington, man, I love that track. I love the tracks that are usually, I don't want to say tough to drive, but tougher in general, I guess. Short tracks and Darlington and Dover are top of my list all the time, and I'm looking forward to it. I think the main thing is going to be keeping a car comfortable and then surviving everything over top of just raw speed and less fall off and all that. I think it's going to be more important to keep it comfortable and consistent.
We wish you the best of luck as you guys go forward and try to continue to hang on to that top 10 spot in the championship. Andrew, thanks for sticking around and chatting with us. Congratulations as well for the good finish tonight. Enjoy the extra week off, and hopefully we'll talk with you guys again soon.
Yeah, I want to thank all my sponsors, Loco Toco Designs, Cody Thompson, and Mission 22 for all their support this entire season. They've been awesome. Cody even designed the logos for my real race car, which was really cool of him. And all my teammates at Lockdown Racing, Bontempi, Keegan Lee, Jarl, Brandon Coppinger, David Rattler, Marcus Lambert, Logan Sheets, Richard Holiday, Nick Ward, and anybody I'm forgetting for all their help all season long and all the hard work.
He finishes up 10 on the night. Andrew Fash, the 5th tonight from the Michigan International Speedway. That just about does it, guys. 13 races already in 2016 have come and gone. And as we get set to step aside from really what was an interesting one tonight, Cam, Michigan brought to us a little bit of excitement, a little bit of late race drama, and a little bit of a different sense, if you will. There were bits and pieces of everything, I think, in this race. We look forward now, a clear championship picture, and Ray Alfala out in front now by 15 points.
Well, I think this is the first time in quite a while where Ray Alfalla and PJ Sturgis haven't finished in the first 5 positions of the field. So this is going to be interesting to see just how PJ Sturgis can bounce back from this and see what he can do to recover, maybe at Darlington and maybe somewhere else. And well, we keep going forward. Things just keep winding up here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, and I really can't wait because it looks like it's definitely going to be a good race as far as the championship points go. And of course, Darlington is always exciting.
Yeah, Darlington is Darlington, Tim. I think that, again, it's a racetrack that some guys love it, some guys hate it. I can guarantee one thing, and that is at least us topside are going to be in for a good show.
Yeah, we're always in for a good show when we hit the Darlington Raceway. And as Ray Alfalla mentioned, it's trying to keep your car clean, trying to stay out of the wall, and trying to have a clean car at the end of the evening. Because if you do have a clean car at the end, you're probably going to finish somewhere in the top 10. And of course, we've seen the last 2 oval races, rashes of cautions at the end. We could very well see that again at Darlington. And something else Ray said, we have a brand new build coming out. It could very well change what we see on the racetrack and with the surface model and whatever comes out with that next build coming up in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be a very exciting race. We'll see if PJ Sturgis can rebound. And you never know. We might see a guy like Brad Davies come back and go to victory lane. We might see somebody new come back and make their way in. Brad Wright won a race at Darlington a few years ago, and he came out of nowhere in order to win it. So we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks. Darlington always gives us a very exciting race and sometimes some unpredictable finishes.
And remember that one going to be in 3 weeks' time. We do have 2 weeks in between races. It'll be on the 13th of September. With that, though, race number 13 from Michigan falls into the rear-view mirror. I want to thank all of you for watching this special presentation of RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacingLive, Fans Choice TV, and the Motor Racing Network. For more information on the iRacing World Championship Series, please visit wcs.iracing.com. On behalf of the entire team behind the scenes at RaceSpot TV, for Will, Vincent, Hugo Louise, Istvan Balog on the cameras, as well as the rest of the team on the WCS crews, for Tim Terry, Cam Walsh, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you once again for tuning in, and we offer a congratulations and a tip of the cap to the old-time winningest driver in this series, netting his 19th win as Ray Alfalla gets the job done tonight. And we hope to see you all back with us again next Tuesday for NASCAR Race Night, as well as the following. We wait 3 weeks until the 13th of September before NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series action powered by iRacing returns from Darlington for the third to last race on the year. That race and every race can be found exclusively right here on RaceSpot TV. We'll see you next time. Until then, good night from Michigan.